to start the match. Peterman won the toss and kicks to the right of screen. I notice that Pittman's in the centre square at the start. The Dockers through Toya get the first kick out. We'll be with you in a moment, Barra and Curls, as Wills wins a good ball and floats one towards full forward. Front spot, Hart playing his 150th. Just the third Crow to have done that behind Bickley and Smart. Waterhouse in there hard. Dockers with an opportunity. Brown gets it out. Well done, Norwich. Should have got a free kick. It's coming back, and I think it will be a free to Norwich. And some changes by the lookout in the Crows' actual lineup as Norwich about to get a free. Neil Curley, quickly, a few changes for Adelaide on the field.
It's placed in the paper, Bruce. There are a lot of changes. You'll see Wren up forward, Pittman in the ruck, and quite a Modra on the interchange bench. The interchange bench for Adelaide is Modra, Trent Ormond-Allen, Kane Johnson and Ben Marsh.
And Barra, as we see Norwich lining up for goal. We'll just wait on the result here. So it's a good start for the Dockers here. Will's getting an early touch. Norwich, it's coming back, but he's hooked it and missed it. Adrian, welcome to the telecast as always. And what about for Fremantle?
Thanks, Bruce. Yes, some radical changes here too. Adrian Fletcher back in the side on the bench. Jess Sinclair as well. Andrew McGovern and big Matthew Burton starting on the bench. I think they predicted Wren would play at centre-half forward, so they've started in the ruck with Clem Michael.
Thank you for that. So Adrian Barrett and Neil Curley on the boundary. Good mark by Pittman. Both teams have come out running here, and the edge is in this match. Both teams desperate for a win for different reasons, but certainly Fremantle this week have been under a great deal of pressure. Parker, good to Dodd. Dodd on to Man. He played pretty well last week against Melbourne. A centre half back, kicks to full forward. Waterhouse up, Maher up. Callaghan with a terrific chance. Dribbling one, good kick. Callaghan, Clem, he's got it. A goal. He's kicked goals in his last 12 matches, Callaghan. That's his 20th for the season. And the Dockers 1-1 lead the Crows yet to score.
And that was a sharp bit of play there through the midfield by the Dockers. They moved the ball quickly into their forward zone. That's what we spoke about prior to the game. They must get the ball through that midsection of the ground quickly just to give their forwards a chance of getting some one-on-one contests. And when the ball does hit the ground, they've got to get it.
So a very smart kick there by Craig Callaghan. He read the burrow on the fairway and on the green, and it rolled through beautifully for Fremantle's first goal. They've kicked 1-1. Adelaide get to score. A struggle for possession in the middle of the ground, and the umpire will bounce. And the umpires for tonight's game, Grant Vernon, Brian Sheehan, Scott McLaren. Bit of experience there in the top two, and Scott McLaren doing a pretty good job also. Now they'll come clear. This is Kickett. His kick towards half forward. Out in front. Opportunity there for Chisholm. He's not able to gather. He's just pressured there by Ben Hart. Handball comes out wide there from Michael Brown. And what did the umpire deem that as? Maybe holding on.
Pushing the back by Ben Hart, Robbo.
So Brown to take the free kick. He's a really hard-at-it player, Michael Brown. Short pass is very good. Nearly on the end of it was Waterhouse. It was going to be a very good take right down there at ankle height. Ben Hart pressured. Waterhouse still in and under. James, he's well pressured there by Dodd and one of his teammates. And the umpire will ball it up 50 metres from the Fremantle goal. Johnson, Modra, Ormond-Allen on the bench for Adelaide. Kicked out of there, back towards the wing. Very well gathered by Tregenza. The ball spills back towards half back. Rashudo's hand pass. This is a good carry of the ball by Adelaide. Costa, who was a little quiet last week. Wren beaten for it on this occasion. The ball knocked towards Bond. He's going to be outpointed because 2 against 1. Costa, little hand pass. Puts Perry under a bit of pressure. 3 on 2. In goes Dodd over the top. Was that too high? It may be that way, and the free kick will go to Kim Costa for the Crows. Fremantle 7, lead Adelaide, get the score.
Great build-up, wasn't it, a moment ago by the Crows. Some clever handball. Bickley's play was outstanding. Belted away O'Reilly on Perry. Saw O'Reilly warming up, Tim, before the match, which is the way he does it on his own about a half an hour before the game, just as Adelaide were actually arriving in the bus.
He just has a suspect hamstring. Obviously, he likes to get out on the ground early just to warm it up. Did about half a dozen sprints up the side of the square.
Pittman, Michael Rashudo, who was in terrific form early last week. Neil Curley had told us that he'd been suffering from the flu during the week, and he died a little, as did the Crows in that second term before their flurry late to make it close. Pittman, Wheels, not bad by Wheels to centre wing. Goodwin and also Chisholm. Oh, cleverly done by Chisholm. Good signs early to Michael. Michael attacks the goal front. Waterhouse caught underneath it. The fly missed by Bassett, taken by Ben Hart. Gets it to James at half-back. Handball over the top. Tregenza had to sit and wait. Gave it off to Hart. Good play. Hart's took away handball. Not effective. Waterhouse over the top. Missed there by Dodd. The Crows in hard. Well done by Tregenza. Trying to break through there, Adelaide. Can't do it. Hart, and it's going to be a ball up.
Waterhouse very good there too. He had a player between he and Ben Hart and was still able to restrict the Adelaide player from breaking away from centre half back.
It's a very mobile Dockers forward line at the moment too. They've got Waterhouse, Brown, Callaghan, and also Chisholm in that forward line.
So Pittman, Rashudo gets hold of it. Back to Pittman. His first game for 2 or 3 weeks. Bickley's there, can't get through, and again it's going to be a bounce about 55 metres out. 15 premiership players from the Crows there tonight. That's allowing for Rob Renout and Perry in. So they're stacked up here. They need a win.
Yes, the bounce of the ball at centre half forward for Fremantle. Pittman gets it down. Rashudo just struggling very hard. He gets away in the finish to Bickley. He in turn for James, but good pressure applied by Norwich. Again, back goes James. So his second effort pretty good. Tregenza, look at Bickley get past. Bickley's kick gets close to left half forward. Bounces at the feet of the players in that area. Wren, O'Reilly knocks it with his left fist, but only as far as Rashudo. The bounce is fickle. Toya makes it his. Still Luke Toya. Very well done. A rated Dodd. Dodd's little kick will find Norwich. Very good understanding there to young Gale. Gale from centre wing kicks the ball towards football. Waterhouse, the high flyer, couldn't take the mark. Now the opportunity for Mark, not able to control it, and the umpire will throw it in. The Dockers fans pretty happy with that effort to force the ball to within scoring distance. It's about 45 metres out. Pittman doing a pretty good job in the ruck. Callaghan knocks it with his right fist over for a boundary throw in. The only goal kick has been by that player, Craig Callaghan. A very intelligent little snapshot about 3 or 4 minutes ago. Fremantle lead 1-1. Adelaide are yet to score. Pittman to the front of the pack for Ben Hart.
Tregenza through his fingers. He's had early touches though, Tregenza. Gale and a boundary throw in. Adelaide's half forward setup's interesting, Tim. They've had it there a couple of times and struggled. Wren at centre half forward. Perry also across there, so they're playing a big half forward line, aren't they?
Well, they've hardly taken the ball over their 50 line at this stage of the game, so they really have been struggling to get the ball in the midfield in the early part of this game.
Michael to kick it, neat kick, and Brown's hands were very good there. He's been busy early on Hart. He's just outside 50. Now, the last time he was in a similar position, he went short to Waterhouse. Clement provided an early lead. Chisholm's in the square. Brown may unload here and go with a big one. Tregenza looks injured coming off for Kane Johnson. Kick to the goal square. Where are the Flyers? Punched by Bassett. Waterhouse at the back. And a boundary throw in. Tregenza looks really properly there. Looks Achilles area, ankle maybe. Curls and Barra on the behind for the Dockers. So they're 1-2. And the Crows yet to score. And the Dockers have had it all so far. Bassett to Ben Hart, just 24 years of age, 150th match.
And hasn't he been a tremendous player for Adelaide? All-Australian in, I think it was his first 2 seasons that he made the All-Australian side, and terrific effort by such a young player. I think he was only 17 years of age when he made his debut. Pittman, the handball over the top. The ball up to centre wing. Rashudo not able to control it. And we see Fremantle leading. They've kicked 1-2. Adelaide yet to score. Curls, what have you got for us?
Well, again, they're just checking his ankle out, but it's always interesting to see there's been a lot of publicity this week on Fremantle, I believe, down here. And it's always interesting to see the players' reaction towards, if they like their coach. They normally work a bit harder if they do.
Well, we'll watch that with a lot of interest. O'Reilly not able to take the mark from behind Perry. Trying to just force his way through there might have been Edwards. And it's held up. No, it was Vardy, I think, in the finish. But the ball is certainly within scoring distance for Adelaide, about 35 metres out between right half forward and right forward pocket. Tregenza looking a little distressed on the interchange bench at the moment. Bickley, and just not able to keep it in there, Mark Bickley. He was a very good trier. He's been a good captain for Adelaide, Mark Bickley, and he was a good trier last week when they went down to the Blues last Friday night. Wren, well jumped there by Michael. Johnson overruns it, but the bounce favours him in the finish. He's able to get back and then kick with the left into the pocket. Just misjudging it a little there was Parker. His second effort pretty good. Pressure applied by Jarman, locked up about 30 metres out from the Adelaide goal.
Just watch this again, just going back with the fly of the ball. It's an uncomfortable feeling when you're the person underneath that. And maybe just losing sight in the light on that occasion.
Wren Rashudo, kick it and wheels, off the ground by Perry. Crows within about 30 metres. This is as deep as they've been. Mann gets a free kick. He was better last week, Peter Mann. He's had a wretched season, really, the captain. He's had to put up with a lot of criticism, and hopefully he can play some good footy towards the end. Clement on the end of a good pass from Norwich. Clement's been a good player. He's kicked 5 goals on a couple of occasions for the Dockers this year. Kicks the ball wide to half forward, a long way from home. Callaghan and James in a boundary throw-in.
That's a really poor option when you're going forward like that, to kick the ball so wide to one of the shorter players. They really do need to construct themselves. On that occasion, Marr was too far up the ground. He's got to start his leads back inside 50 and become an option for them when they're going forward.
Pittman over the top of Marr. Dodd held it up well. Taken by Toyer. Toyer's kick is not bad. He was going to go to Waterhouse, but Caven was able to cut it off. The angle from Toyer was good, but Caven had his hands full last week with Whitmore for a lot of that match, as Smart did with Hamill, has taken the mark. Wide to Pittman at half-back. It's always good to see Pittman back for the Crows. Just gives them another option with his height. They're playing a tall team tonight with Marsh also there. Wren, the other big man. Wren was a flyer. Norris tapped it down to Gale. Gale over the top. Beautiful handball. And Toyer running onto it and then delivers to full forward. Oh, big fly there coming from Marr. But he was outnumbered. And the Crows able to build it away. And a boundary throw-in.
They are the number 1 defensive side in the competition. They're ranked number 1, the Adelaide Crows. They were very good for most of the season. Last week, Carlton were very clever the way they pulled them apart, and they had Pearce in the goal square. They've got Waterhouse in the goal square for the Dockers tonight, but they need to move the other forwards up the ground and just isolate the Adelaide Crow defenders.
James just hacks it out of the slightly congested area in the right back pocket and forces a boundary throw in about 75 to 80 metres around from the Fremantle goal. Adrian Barrage down on the boundary line.
Robbo, a couple of interesting tags from where I sit. Jason Norris tagging Mark Rashudo, who's damaged the Fremantle boys before in the past very, very, very heavily. And an interesting one, Docker James Clement, half-forward flank, tagging Nigel Smart.
Gee, what a play here by Clem Michael. Little hand pass for Wills, right to the goal line. It's forced over for a rush behind to Fremantle. They've done all the scoring. 1 goal, 3-9, leading Adelaide yet to score. Of course, the Crows have been within scoring distance, but not able to break through as yet. Short kick by Bassett, made a blue here. Little hand pass by Callaghan. May have been intended there for Chisholm, not cleared for a throw-in by Bassett. Not all that well disguised, but he got the benefit of the doubt from the umpire. And it will be thrown in the left forward pocket there for the Dockers. Michael Brown, number 18. Number 15 is Pittman for Adelaide. They will contest this boundary throw-in down to James. James quickly back towards the wing. Not taken by Michael. Pressure applied by Vardy. Gathered by Norris. Then Callaghan. Good smother by Vardy. Handball out by Sampson. Costa harassed by Chisholm. Good stuff there by the Dockers forwards and midfielders to just hold the Crows up as they look threatening to clear from half-back. Kim Costa, one of their very important midfielders, and as Tim Watson mentioned just a moment ago, Adelaide defence ranked first in the competition.
Pittman, Rashudo, boundary throw-in. Neil Curley on the boundary line.
Yeah, Tregenza not good. Strained calf muscle, will not take any further part in the game.
So the Crows down to 21. That's bad luck for Simon Tregenza. He's forced his way back. He's only played the 8 games this season. So the Dockers go forward. Goodwin had to hold them up. He did very well. Forced it to the line and a boundary thrown. So change for the Crows. Pittman coming off and Marsh coming on. Wren back on the ball now. So Marsh will probably go to half forward with Perry slotting in at centre half forward. Again, they're playing a rather cumbersome tall half forward line here. Free kick to Michael, high tackle. So the Dockers with a chance. Off to Wills. Wills normally an explosive player. Waterhouse went early, gave away a free kick. Just got to time those right or else they become very wasteful and can really hurt you in the end because it's always a chance off the pack. Bassett in short to Connell. He would know this ground very well, Connell. Having played at West Coast, he pushes wide again. Rashudo a target. Had a fair bit of it, Rashudo, and has been paid at half-back. So the Crows still having big problems getting past centre here.
Mark Rashudo with the football coming up for his fourth possession, his first kick. 9 plays 0 at this stage, still early as players just search each other out. That's a good mark from probably third in line by young Mark. Rather athletic looking young footballer. Paul Marr. Now indicating that he's going to go straight down the line, keeping it pretty close to the boundary line. Knocked away. At the foot of the pack there was James to Goodwin. Nearly taken by Chisholm. Wren not able to gather. Good play by Michael. Gee, doesn't he look a very, very good type. Dodd swings around onto his right foot and kicks the ball to full forward. No mark taken. James has been under enormous pressure. He's made an error on this occasion. Toya, Callaghan, great smother by Bassett. Callaghan for a second attempt. And it has been kicked out of bounds on the full, right across the face of goal.
And Bassett's hurt himself too. Just watch this again. He was the player that actually affected the smother on Callaghan. And he may have been collected. Just watch this close again. That's Bassett there. Almost perhaps got a kick in the face on that occasion. He's up on his feet again, so he looks okay.
So the ball at left half back for Adelaide as Kim Costa kicks it high, back towards the centre of the ground. Chance here for Caven. Not able to get a really effective kick. O'Reilly kicks it back. Gathered there by Norrish. Gets it to Dodd. Back to Norrish. Good play. Good understanding there by the Fremantle players. The kick to full forward. It's a mark. Certainly a mark to Brown. He got his right hand to it first and then brought it down in front of himself and controlled it. He's taken the mark 15 metres out directly in front.
Actually, Robbo, his body work before the ball arrived was very good on Hart. Just moved him out of the way.
Strong player, Michael Brown, and he's kicked the Dockers' second goal.
So the Dockers doing all the scoring here. They've had 5 scoring shots. Crows yet to score. It's 2-3. Brown and Callaghan the goal scorers. Wren in the ruck. Burton getting over the top of him. Dodd, who's been busy, coming back from suspension. Smart's first real touch. Run down a bit by Clement. Just got the kick away. Gone. Courageous in front. Gets a free kick. Earned it from the front spot. It's been good for the Dockers. Recruited with Fletcher and a couple of others this year. Anderson and also Hargraves. They got a lot out of Bond and Fletcher before his injury. Wills has kicked to half forward. Goodwin at the back, building towards the line. Didn't get there. Mars a likely top. Nicely weighted handball. Chisholm could go all the way here. Funny old kick floating to the goal square Hart front spot. And Brown's been a handful for Hart in the opening quarter of an hour and forced through from behind. Didn't time at Chisholm. Was accurate enough, but was always going to be a bit of a fluke if it scored the way he kicked the footy.
They've really dominated, haven't they, in the early part of this game. The Adelaide Crows have only taken the ball inside their 50 on 2 occasions, and they're really struggling to get hold of the leather in the midfield.
Hart goes to Wren. Norrish gives him a shove and did pretty well to hold him up. Toya's handball inboard was good. Callaghan's a good finisher. He's 50 out. He leans back, hooks and misses. You wonder at the end of the night just what this all means, how wasteful they've been, the Dockers. Callaghan's had 3 shots for goal, kicked 1. And the Dockers go to 2-5. Adelaide yet to score, so they really should be 5 or 6 in front.
They've had 54 possessions to 36 so far in the game, Fremantle.
Well, they've just got to make it pay on the scoreboard, though. Wasteful, those shots at goal from set shots and also on the run like that when there's no real pressure on.
Well, they do mean business. That punch from behind was very effective. Bickley to take from Goodwin back towards the centre wing area. Parker, Bond, he never gives up. Edwards, back he goes to Johnson. Johnson's kick across his left shoulder should be marked. Not quite marked there by Perry. Now the advantage is with Adelaide here. Perry's little left foot kick is not bad. To the full forward area, Jarman held. Jarman still held. Surely it's got to be a free kick to Darren Jarman. Well, the jumper pulling in the first instance here.
Oh, they ran the
well,
that's the one the umpire missed.
Yeah.
Umpire Sheen just said, play on, and then had to think about it. And as that ball arrived and you saw Jarman and Carroll, the only two players inside 50, you really thought, well, this is just made for Darren Jarman, perhaps one of the best one-on-one players in the competition.
So Darren Jarman to kick from about 25 metres out, pretty well straight in front. He shouldn't miss from here, and he doesn't. So the Crows are on the board. Darren Jarman kicks his first goal, and Adelaide get there first. Very deep into the first quarter. We've only got 5 minutes left, as a matter of fact. Fremantle lead 2-5 to a goal.
And that's the real difference, isn't it? When you get a set shot, you take it, you kick a six-pointer, and despite the fact that the Dockers have really dominated in the early part of this game, Adelaide find themselves just 11 points behind, and they'll be trying to keep Jarman one-on-one inside the 50.
So a badly needed breakthrough on the scoreboard for Adelaide. A goal to Darren Jarman. Sean Wren kicked away for a Fremantle by Callahan. Chisholm. Oh, very well done. Down to kick it. Lovely hand pass. It really did bounce in the favour of Wills. Second effort good again. Breaks the tackle. Goes for goal with the left foot. On the end of it, there's a mark. It's Brown again. Gee, that was a good mark. He was certainly out of position, but he was desperate to get at it.
He's been very lively in this first quarter, but just the fact that they had all those players running so hard forward when they won the centre bounce clearance, the Freo Dockers, they had numbers at the ball, and that's real pressure to put on a defensive line.
So Brown going for his second and Fremantle's third. By the sound of the fans behind the goals, yes, he's missed. A disappointment again for Fremantle on the scoreboard. Lots of behinds, 2-6 to a goal. They lead by 12 points.
Bassett to bring it in. Smart providing a lead wide. Goes in short. Goodwin in the back pocket. He's very good for the Crows in the last quarter against the Blues in Adelaide last Friday night. And they made that late charge. Wren pushed out really, but maybe he pushed into it, if anything, by the big spider. And Wren's got it at half-back. Goes along the line to centre wing. Some jostling there. Front spot there by Parker. Brown, who's up the field now. Pushed forward again by Mann, was okay. Callahan's handball over the top to Maher. Maher to Dodd. They're playing in tight in the percentages. Cut off by the Crows. Good handball over the top there by James to Caven. Caven's kick to the space was clever. Connell will probably go in the Jarman direction. Floating kick. Jarman and Carroll. Carroll back there. O'Reilly under pressure from Perry. Forcing back, not good. Vardy's usually a very good finisher. Clever looking kick. And well done at the back by the Dockers. That through Man to force it through, because Vardy's kick wasn't far away, and it's a behind. It's a clever kick by Vardy.
It was a clever attempt, but I don't think it was really what he should have done on this occasion. He could have done a lot more with that particular bit of play there. Edwards was inside. In fact, Edwards had a quiet word to him after Vardy kicked that ball, thought the handball should have gone to him.
Now, the ball's been allowed to go on here, and the Dockers have got the edge, and Mark comes away and can run right inside 50 and can score. Wobbles it to the goal square. Brown again! What a first quarter. He's hanging on Ben Hart. And the Dockers were able to get the ball right down the ground in such a hurry. Fourth mark to Michael Brown, who's only played in rounds 8, 9, 10 and 15 prior to tonight, so he's had real problems establishing himself again this year. He's just 21 years of age, but he's playing a huge opening term, and he's kicked his second goal. And Ben Hart, his 150th, is getting stitched up early. It's 3-6 to 1-1.
Yeah, and I think that perhaps Malcolm Blight may make a change here because he is struggling, Ben Hart, on Brown at the moment. He's finding Brown's ability and perhaps his streamline. I think he's a better player when he's released up the ground.
So while all this is going on, Tony Modra has come onto the field with 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
Bit of a difference, Robbo, from last week when he ran onto the field.
My word, well, the situation on the scoreboard a bit different too, Bruce. They led comfortably in the first term last week. They trailed rather dismally. 17 points, but scoreboard pressure, which we've spoken about during the week, it's certainly there to the advantage of Fremantle. Kick forward again. It's going to be a mark. No, they've got players everywhere. The big spider, if you don't mind, he stopped the goal. Matthew Burton kicks the Dockers' fourth goal, and that looks a little tidier. 4-6 to 1-1.
And the big fella just sneaking down and taking a crumb off the pack. They had 3 players at the fall of that ball on that occasion, the Dockers. We saw last week Matthew Allen did it against the Adelaide Crows on Wren, and this week the big spider was doing it.
So problems for the Crows here. Matthew Allen kicked 3 goals as a ruckman last week. Burton's got a quick one. Good handball by Rashudo. Sampson. Wren will really grit his teeth here and dig in. Jarman in the front spot. Trent Carroll at the back. Vardy and Hart. Mann's playing a good first term too. The captain standing tall and then delivers beautifully to Dodd. This is a great setup here for the Dockers. Dodd slowly onto Wills. Wills read it pretty well. Connell running the wrong way. So Wills at centre wing. Fremantle's lead, 30-7. They're 23 points in front. Probably should be further in front. Look at Gerard. Eyes nearly popping out there, Gerard Nisha. Ma's been terrific. And might have hurt himself there as he's come down awkwardly against Caven and took a very strong mark. And he's in trouble, I think.
Hurt his leg.
He's really in pain. Yeah. Oh, he's come down very awkwardly, hasn't he? You can almost feel it from up here. The stretch is coming out pretty quickly. And that's a
real
shocking
blow, isn't
it?
There's no doubt he's done his knee, and I've seen players do cruciates in a similar style to that. Let's hope it's nothing as serious as that. But that doesn't look good for Ma, who's played. Well, this is his 3rd game for the season. He's kicked 4 goals from centre half forward, so he's been a real player for the Dockers. He's been enterprising again tonight across half forward. And this is exactly what the Dockers didn't want, because they're on a roll here. You see Adrian Fletcher just warming up on the boundary line. That's not a good sign.
Crows were really at 6s and 7s, weren't they, in the last couple of movements forward by the Dockers, who have players everywhere. Ma's going to give a big hand here from not a big crowd, but terrible luck for the kid. Just 22 years of age. Kicked 3 goals against Melbourne last week at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. And tonight was very busy early and has what looks to be a pretty serious injury from our vantage point here.
If any medical staff out there can solve the problems of players injuring their knees so drastically from what looks like simple problems like that, they are just going to turn out to be geniuses.
Adrian Barrack's down there on the boundary line with Neil Curley, so we'll hear a bit more. Callahan's kick to within about 30 metres. This is an important period in the game now. The Crows probably definitely suited by the fact that Paul Ma's off the ground, but also by the hold up in play. Rashudo getting it out, then James to Costa. His kick to the space. Bond, who's got the job on Vardy. That's an interesting matchup. Man has done very well in the opening term. That's a bit dangerous, but Parker stood tall there against Edwards and took the mark at half back. Parker, who's playing his 51st consecutive match for the Dockers. So he's been consistent. He was runner-up in their best and fairest last year. So he must be highly rated at the club. And Norrish, busy early. He's got the job on Rashudo. Now Caven and Fletcher's come on the ground. So no Mara in the marking contest there. Clement's high ball. Waterhouse mistimes it. Bassett did a good job. Brown came in from the front. Be careful, that's not 50. It should be. Dodd just wrestling into the ground. Yes, it has to be. And that's 50 metres against Dodd.
if you look up forward for the Adelaide Crows, they're pretty top heavy. They've got Modra now on a half forward flank. O'Reilly's picking him up. They've got Perry at centre half forward being picked up by Mann, and they're trying to play Jarman in the 50-metre arc all on his own, but they just haven't been getting the ball supplied down there.
Bassett goes short to Rashudo. Less than half a minute left in the first quarter. So if the Crows are to score, Mark Rashudo will have to bomb this right deep into their forward 50. He doesn't. He goes short again. Johnson has the football. Seconds ticking away. Very close to quarter time here at Subiaco. Fremantle lead comfortably on the scoreboard. Comfortably from a statistical point of view. The kick by Johnson into the pocket. Is that a push out? No, it's a mark, a clean mark. Been awarded back there to Peter Mann. The siren has sounded to end an enterprising first quarter by Fremantle. They lead 4-6-30. Adelaide 1-1-7. Michael Brown has kicked 2 goals for Fremantle. Burton has kicked 1. Callahan has kicked 1. And the Lone Ranger for Adelaide is Darren Jarman.
And there's some real problems there for Malcolm Blight too. He's got 2 tall players on the bench at the moment. He's got Pittman and Marsh. Tregenza is injured. He will play no further part in the game. The only other midfield running type player he has is Ormond Allen. And the real area they're struggling in at the moment is their midfield. Dockers in control at quarter time, 30-7.
Malcolm Blight was very relaxed at quarter time, despite the fact that the Dockers were well and truly in front, just chatting to his players and asking them a few questions. Jared Neesham was quite animated at the same time, and Simon Tregenza, a lonely figure there with a calf injury. Adrian Barrage and Neil Curley down on the boundary line.
Bruce, if Simon Tregenza looks bad, then Paul Maher is terrible. It's his left knee, and I spoke to the doctor and he said it looks very bad. So his season is almost certainly over. And Kells, you think the Crows look a bit uncertain?
Certainly were in their early huddle there when the players came in. Players were questioning one another a bit on some of the movement decisions, and that's not a good sign.
No, well, they did certainly look a bedraggled lot as the coach was having that quarter-time chat. This mark taken by Caven at centre-half back to Rashudo. He wants to be careful here, nearly run down by Waterhouse. Gets the hand pass to Connell. Connell gets good distance with the kick to half-forward. Knocked away by Parker. Nearly gathered there by Edwards. Chopped off by Bond. Knocked forward there by Clement. Close to the line, it goes over for a boundary throw-in.
And Robbo, Barrow mentioned in the first quarter that Clement was in fact doing a defensive job on Smart at half-back. Smart only had 1 possession in that first quarter. It's also interesting to note that Smart has 40% of his possessions forward of the centre, so he really is a running player that they look to.
A great smother by big David Pittman. Now, if that's any indication, if a big fella can get down and smother the ball off the boot there, surely that can be some sort of inspiration for his teammates. Adelaide, well, they've never lost to the Freo Dockers. It's not that long since Fremantle made their debut in the AFL, just a couple of years, but Adelaide have had the wood on them so far. Luke Toyer not able to break away, and the umpire will call for a bounce. Terrific point you made there about Nigel Smart and James Clement. Obviously a lot of work is done in preliminary games leading up to whoever you're eventually playing, and a lot of the scouts do heaps and heaps of work trying to establish who can be the best player to play on any of the guns of the opposition. Umpire's found a free kick here. Looks as though it's going to David Pittman. It is. So he will kick Adelaide into their forward half, close to their forward 50. It covers the players in that area. At the back is Parker, run down by Edwards. Good tackle. Costa to swoop on it. He's hard against the boundary line. Man, Costa may have kept it in. No, he hasn't. And the umpire will throw it in. 30 plays 7, and it's deep in Adelaide forward pocket. A chance for the Crows to score.
Remember last week the Crows led 6 goals to 1 at quarter time, and then found themselves behind at the long break. Johnson kick it. No free kick to the Dockers there. Sampson, what a kick one he has from nowhere. Sampson. Well, he got 6 against the Dockers earlier this season in one of the surprising efforts of the year, and that came out of the blue. It was just what the Crows wanted.
From absolutely nowhere on that occasion, just the ball hitting the ground there after that throw-in, and Sampson just really throwing onto this ball. I guess he had a fair idea which direction the goals were. but it was just one of those opportunist goals, but it's exactly what the Crows needed, and they've been pretty hard in their start in this second term.
Back in the centre, just repeating, Sampson kicked 6 against the Dockers with McLeod at Adelaide earlier this year, and he's got the Crows' second goal here tonight. They still trail by 17 points. Both teams hamstrung with injury in the opening term. Important injuries, certainly for the balance from Adelaide's point of view, and the way Mar was going, a very important one for the Dockers. Toyer's little kick. Caven read it pretty well and then was able to send it back with a bit of interest. Edwards attacked hard, couldn't take the mark, cleverly to Pittman. Back to Connell. That was good play. Rashuto about a couple of kicks from goal, though. If he really bombs one, Jarman very wide. He's going to go in his direction. He sets himself, Jarman, he's got it, and he's within kicking distance. It's just the sort of kick you'd expect him to go from.
And it's just the sort of stuff that you wanted from the Adelaide Crows too if you're one of their supporters. See Ben Hart now on Spider Burton up the other end of the ground, and Brown's actually out to centre half forward. He's been picked up by Caven, and I think that will suit the Adelaide Crows.
I was just going to say, in the centre of the ground, Edwards, he missed the mark, but by gee, his buttering up work was terrific.
Great second effort.
Jarman kick just inside 50. Improves the angle. He's hooked and missed. He'll be disappointed with that. The consummate skills man, but 2-2 to 4-6. Dockers still with a handy lead.
Yes, and not really any advantage here of any breeze. It's just a beautiful evening here in Perth. Subiaco ground in excellent condition. It looks quite firm. Certainly the scene for a decent game of footy. The ball is with Michael in the middle of the ground. He gives the handball away to Wills. Wills goes very wide. O'Reilly from deep on the wing. Kicks it inside 50. Waterhouse up high. Couldn't take the mark. The ball spills for Chisholm. Look away hand pass. Just Callaghan fumbling a little bit, but he got it back. Then the short pass. Not too bad. He looked for Michael. A Dodd it was. Burton, still Dodd. Still young Dodd there with the football. Big Spider. Gee, what a great goal he kicked in the first term. He's an exciting player, and I'm sure the Dockers fans really love him when he gets anywhere near the footy, doing the ruck work, taking a mark, kicking a goal, and defending. He does the lot. Rashuto, angry man, tries to get out of the pack. Ben Hart to James. James out wider still. Bickley. Toyer's got him. Little hand pass, not too bad. James has run on in support of the captain, and then the kick was good and found Johnson.
Centre wing. He came on in the first quarter for Tregenza Johnson. Key player in the premiership last year. Half a kick to Sampson, who's run the ball out of play, and a boundary throw-in.
And Macca, one of the problems that Adelaide had last round against Carlton was the midfield. The number of possessions the Carlton midfielders got has happened again. Callaghan had 10, Will 7, Dodd 7, Norris 8, Toyer 7. Best for Adelaide Crows is Bickley with 4.
Big numbers, aren't they, for the Dockers at this stage of the match? Costa kicking forward, Smart in the forward half, getting a possession but not effective. Pittman and I think Vardy running into one another, and it's going to be a bounce about 70 metres from Adelaide's goal. They're doing it tough here, the Crows. They're probably closer than they should be at 4-6 to 2-2. Dockers desperate for a win. They've had 5 wins from 7 matches against out-of-town teams at home this year. They've beaten St Kilda, North Melbourne and Melbourne amongst those wins, so they've had some pretty good early form. Adrian Barrich.
Bruce, the Dockers' big punt is about to be tested. Adrian Fletcher's about to go on. Looks like he's wearing shoulder pads to protect that damaged shoulder. Good luck to him when he gets out there.
So the boundary throw in, the ball comes to Rashuto. He leaves it for Wren. Wren, bit of a mongrel punt kick towards full forward. Gathered here by Parker. He's able to have a bit of a look and then kicks it wide. Mark is taken by Bond. Chris Bond uses the ball nicely and finds Scotty Chisholm. He's still behind the wing. He can run on and maybe kick the ball into the centre. No, he hooks it and gets terrific distance to full forward nearly. Bassett. Smart. Good pressure applied there by Clement. And the ball locked up. 14 minutes left in the second term. Fremantle lead 30 to 14. And Adrian Fletcher back onto the ground for the Dockers.
Good play there by Waterhouse to go up the ground too, and to take Bassett with him and try and turn him inside out on the way back. I think Bassett's going to find it a lot more difficult to play against Waterhouse when he employs that tactic.
Fletcher onto the ground. Brad Dodd is the player onto the bench for Fremantle. Norwich just cleaning up from the back of the pack. Left foot kick by Norwich. Burt couldn't take the mark. It was a good effort. Pittman in there to just force a bounce 50 metres from the Fremantle goal. They lead 30 to 14 and Barra has something for us.
Robbo, cork thigh for Brad Dodd. Right thigh corked, ice pack applied on a cold night. See how he goes.
So Dodd, who was good early, Burton belts the ball back into the centre. Chisholm cleverly, but Bassett was onto it. He's an interesting player, Bassett. Kicks the ball back into the heart of the centre square. That's a terrific mark, Wren. That's his best movement of the night. Started slowly tonight. Had a disappointing match last week. Good kick to Jarman, clever mark. That was a sensational mark by Jarman. Down low, finger tipper. And he missed one from a tighter angle about 5 minutes ago, but you'd think from here it'd be a good thing.
And that's really going to trouble the Freo side if Wren starts to take marks across centre half forward too. A bit quiet in the first half in that position, but if he starts to grab hold of the ball there, he's going to create all sorts of problems.
If this was on the run, there'd be no betting, and from a standing start, he's put it straight through his second. He's becoming a significant player, isn't he? With 3 shots for goal and 2 goals, the Crows have closed it up now at 4-6 to 3-2.
It's been a gritty performance in the second quarter because the Freo side was certainly in total control at quarter time, and the Adelaide side have really had to work their butts off to get back into this game. They're starting to close down a few of the Freo midfield type players, and as I mentioned a moment ago, Wren at centre half forward, and their forward line now is starting to look far more potent.
So another goal there to Darren Jarman and 2 goals now kicked in this term by Adelaide. So they've closed the gap to 10 points. Fremantle yet to add to their quarter time score.
And Nigel Smart, obviously he's saying to Clement, if you're going to pick me up, you might as well pick me up as a forward, because he's actually moved himself now out of the defensive position and playing at half forward.
Burt tries to get the hand pass away. Toya quickly onto his boot. It lands nearly to centre half forward, then punched back, gathered by Norwich. Fletcher into the action quickly out wide. He finds his former Geelong teammate and now Fremantle teammate in Wills. Wills onto his left foot, kicks towards centre half forward. Gee, there was a big leap there, not able to gather it. It was the Fremantle side. But Chisholm, he hasn't been advantaged by the bounce. It's gone up and left and through for a behind. Neil Curley.
Yes, Tim picked it up with that one of Clement with Smart. That was a very good move by Neesham to have Clement block him out of half back. So Nigel's going to try something different.
Sinclair's come on for the Dockers. Good kick by Bassett, getting wide to Edwards. So Edwards at half back. He's on Parker, or has been on Parker. Little chip pass, effective to Costa. Percentages weren't high, but he did find him. The Crows have steadied well here. Back in board to James. Now he could go over the top to Bassett. He does. The Crows may be able to attack. We saw them effectively do this in Adelaide last week a couple of times. He kicks wide to Caven. He's got it at centre wing. They've been slowed here. Orman Allen comes on for the Crows and Edwards comes off. So Caven slowed up at centre wing. Last week they were able to carry the ball all the way down the forward line with a similar move. Now he's just popped it up in the air, really hoping for Wren, I think. At the back, Toya on hands and knees. Good handball to man back to Bond. Bond's handball was okay. Got it to O'Reilly. High ball back to centre wing. Chisholm and Goodwin. Goodwin's ball effective. Sinclair onto the ground. Back to Chisholm. Chisholm had to come back for it. Does pretty well. Gets it across to Brown. He's been a very, very interesting player in the first quarter. He's a high tackle on him, not paid. Sinclair boundary throwing. Gee, Brown looked to cop a high one.
And Brown was such a good player in the first quarter because he was near to goal. He looked so dangerous. Now he's been pushed up the ground, and you just wonder whether or not he's going to be the same or present the same danger to the Adelaide Crows.
Tackle was probably all right. He was probably a bit lucky.
Actually, it was a good chasing effort by Peter Caven. I don't think he's known for his pace, but he certainly put the pressure on Brown. Kick forward by Burton, a high ball to full forward. Good mark taken by Bassett, running back in front of Michael. Handball away, James. Playing a sweeping role across that full back line. the ball out wide. Parker pushed over the line in the finish by Ormond Allen. And the boundary umpire will throw it in. So just a point in this quarter so far to Fremantle. 2 goals, 1 to Adelaide. The margin in favour of the Dockers is 11 points. Pittman from behind. Burton. The ball spills to Costa. He's getting a bit more of the footy this week, Kim Costa. So is Mark Rasciuto. His kick towards centre half forward. Wren contesting there with Band, but the crumbs gathered beautifully by Chris Bond. The little kick for Gale. Good confrontation work there by both sides at half forward. Wren was the Adelaide player, and O'Reilly for Fremantle. That kick goes over on the full. The free kick to be taken by Ormond Allen. Goes short. Rasciuto's got it. Rasciuto coming up for possession number 11. 5 kicks and 5 hand passes so far to the midfielder for the Crows, Mark Rasciuto. No one to kick to, so he's going to have to bomb away, and he'll get good distance again. Well inside the forward 50, and that mark not paid. Burt gets it down, it's smothered off the boot. It's at half forward for Adelaide. Fighting hard as Sampson, a goal kicker already in this term. He slips and falls over for a throw-in. Tony Modra warming up on the boundary line to have another taste of AFL footy. Long break prior to last week's game against Carlton for Tony Modra.
Burton and Pittman. Burton won it. Down towards Sinclair. Toya. Down low. Good take by Burton to Fletcher. Fletcher along the line to Waterhouse. Was it out on the full? No touch, the boundary umpire says.
And the real problem is where to put Modra. You've got Jarman operating in the 50 on his own, and that's really Modra's only position. It'll be interesting or not to see whether or not he's actually placed on a half-forward flank, or whether he exchanges with Jarman. They push Jarman further up the field.
Pittman to Rasciuto. Handball forward. Toya.
Oh,
he's hurt himself. Gee, he's done his knee, I think, Toya. Shocking to look at that there. O'Reilly's kick. They'll probably have to hold up the play here. Johnson. Toya's in all sorts of trouble as players come in from everywhere, and the stretcher's coming out for Luke Toya. Poor kid there. You could just see he buckled under, didn't he, when he did the turn. And, oh, gee.
I can't believe it. That looks like the second cruciate for the Dockers side tonight.
Adrian Barrich.
Bruce, this is unbelievable. The Dockers bench is just frantic. They can't believe almost exactly the same spot as Paul Maher, and in fact almost the same spot as Glenn Jakovic and Sean McManus on this same ground. That's called, that point, wounded knee, that point is called. They're shattered on the Dockers bench. That is definitely a knee for Luke Toya.
Poor kid. Poor kid. I mean, we've seen Maher earlier tonight. Toya, we spoke to McManus at the start of the telecast, who did his had his second knee reconstruction after round 6, and this is an absolute blow to the Dockers with Toya, who had a terrific game last week against Melbourne. Very promising young player, and McGovern's going to come on for him. So 2 of their kids have been carried from the ground tonight. In Paul Maher, had only played 4 games, and Luke Toya, just 20 years of age, who John Anderson from the Herald Sun this year said he felt that he was going to be the man to watch in 1998. Well, he hadn't quite fulfilled that, but he was starting to hit his straps. And, well, if you can bear it, we're going to have another more look at the Toya incident there. So that's an absolute blow to the Dockers. They've lost a high leaping forward tonight, and now a rover, and they're down to 20. Fletcher having come back first match in 6 weeks, obviously he would be a little underdone. So they've been very heavily depleted here. It's the Dockers 4-7, the Crows 3-2.
8.5 minutes left in the first half, and proceedings just hold it until the young man is taken on the stretcher completely out of the arena. So now play restarted by umpire Brian Sheehan, and the ball spilling for a throw-in.
And Tony Modra is on the ground. He's replaced Marsh. He's gone to centre half forward, and now Sean Wren has gone back to the goal square.
So the boundary throw-in. Burton. Costa is there for Adelaide. He kicks it into the pocket. Jarman maybe looking for the free kick there. The umpire having nothing of that. Good play by Carroll. He's persistent. Darren Jarman has kicked 2 goals. That young man is certainly right on his hammer. Burton tries to flip it to the back. Nigel Smart kicked away by Fletcher. back towards the centre. The ball spills to the favour of Rashudo. The hand pass is good under the circumstances. Kicked across his left shoulder by Connell. Good mark. Terrific mark taken by Wren. Don't worry about Sean Wren. You never ever underestimate an absolute star, and he's one of those without any shadow of a doubt. He stood tall here. Terrific height advantage over Jess Sinclair, and he has the chance to get Adelaide's 4th goal. A little bit of disarray for Fremantle. 2 knee injuries to Marr and Toya. The kick for goal by Wren misses to the left. Back to 10 points, the margin in favour of Fremantle. 7.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, Modern there with a nice ball back into the forward area for Rashudo.
We've got to just explain, Kills, we've lost our commentator's box at the moment, and now it'll be Adrian Barrett and Neil Curley commentating, Kills.
Well, Sean Wren takes out effort, handled out by Connell. Connell ran with a snap over it, no, out of bounds to full.
Just news on Luke Toya, definitely a left knee and possible reconstruction. That's the second player they've lost, Paul Marr and Luke Toya both out. As Callaghan plays on the other side of the ground.
He's going to do that. He's going to kick over the mark. He must kick over the mark. When the umpire brings the opposing player back off the line, the player must kick over that line.
So Callaghan about to bring the ball back into play. I guess he goes long outside the 50-metre area.
Handball out to O'Connell. Back to Costa if he can finish. Can't. Good tackle. Connell again. Handball to Jarman, who should finish. And he did. Much needed goal there for the Crows.
He's just a class act, isn't he, Darren Jarman? Just fantastic finishing skills there, Kills. Probably one of the best in the game.
Yeah, early in the first quarter, all the first quarter, the Dockers were hurting the Crows at ground level and getting the ball out. Slowly the Crows have got back into this football match by winning the ball at ground level and finding a player in a better position.
Now, what are they doing with Modra here, Kills? And boys, hopefully we're back on air and back to you.
So Rashudo out of the centre, kicks the ball to centre half forward, man there, Wren at the back, Crows going forward again, Vardy and also Bond, taken by man, handball okay to Gale, so Gale at half back, gets back inside from Sampson, kicks the ball back in towards centre half back, high fly there by Clement, Sinclair took it well, Sinclair's away, and on the left foot kicks the ball towards centre half forward, Waterhouse caught underneath it, Orman Allen at the back and has been paid. Orman Allen's got it at centre half back. Out wide, comes out to Connell. 4-7 to 4-3 the score here. Jarman with 3 goals. A little one to Costa. Costa at centre wing. So Costa's little one finds Goodwin, and Goodwin's now got it at centre wing.
Yeah, Bruce, I think we're back on air, and we'll watch as Simon Goodwin will kick Adelaide into attack. Darren Jarman with 3 goals. He looks as though he's looming as a big threat for Fremantle. The kick to half forward for Wren. Swooping on it, Bickley gives the hand pass away to Modra. Kick smothered off the boot. This is an awkward bouncing ball, but beautifully made his own by McGovern. He runs across the full back line. He did it very, very nicely. Norrish back to McGovern. It's got to bounce in his favour again. He made it his. Oh, the lovely little hand pass for Gale. Gale from half back for Fremantle. Will kick the ball to half forward. That's a push out. That's a blatant push out against Peter Caven. And the free kick will be taken between wing and right half forward for Fremantle by Waterhouse. Waterhouse back into the centre of the ground. McGovern, who came on at the unfortunate expense of Luke Toya. to Burton. Back to McGovern. He'll kick for goal. One bounce. He'll settle and shoot for goal for Fremantle. It'll go right to the line and helped over by the Crows defenders for a rush behind to the Dockers. That's their fourth on my scorecard. 4-8 to 4-3. 4 rush behinds to Fremantle. 1 rush behind to the Crows. And to kick it in is Bassett.
Out wide, gets to James, that's effective. Now James has got Johnson running, but he's very deep and wide to the pocket. So James goes to Rashudo, who's been so important in this quarter, hasn't he? He's been their go-to player almost in all parts of the ground, Rashudo. Wide to Pittman, good stretch by Pittman, took the mark, little give to Johnson. Johnson over the top, that's a good setup. Vardy's had a slow start in his comeback game. Kicks to full forward, Jarman normally good here. Carroll front spot, Carroll and Jarman, ball still to be won. Sampson got involved, Carroll held Jarman out cleverly. Gale too slow, free kick against Jarman for hanging on to Carroll. And Carroll was doing the shepherding, and the Dockers get maybe a lucky one there. Carroll wide to Sinclair. Now Fletcher will be on here at centre wing. Sinclair's got to get on in a hurry. Pops it up. Fletcher's got it. Burton inside when Pittman went to him. It's 4 goals, 8 to 4-3 here at Subiaco. Fletcher's little kick down the line. Parker, good stretch in front of Johnson, has got the mark at centre wing.
So Parker for Fremantle to kick them to within scoring distance. It's a good long kick. No mark in that area. The ball spills to the front of the pack. Ben Hart chopped off by Fletcher. Fletcher to go for goal. Bounces and sits up nicely in the finish for Bassett. So Bassett will clear for Adelaide and he finds Ben Hart at right half back flank. Hooks the ball into the middle. Burton couldn't take the mark. It was probably all of a sudden for him. Well done again by Norrish. Sets up Mann. The kick by Mann. Chopped off by Bassett. Hand pass, look for Connell, Waterhouse to put the pressure on. The ball's still there, Brown. McGovern goes wider. In trouble out there was Callaghan, back to McGovern. McGovern looks for Wills, no he doesn't, the little left foot is good. And Fletcher, by gee, knows how to get the agate, doesn't he? Adrian Fletcher, and he's got it 40 metres out directly in front for the Dockers.
Well, this will be his 6th possession. He hasn't been on the ground that long at all, but they really stretched the Adelaide defence on that occasion. And the last time, as you can see there, they kicked the goal was late in the first term.
Well, you'd have to think that Fletcher will fix that. He's 40 metres out, directly in front. He goes back, he punts for goal, and he puts it through. Well done by Fletcher. A write-up in the daily paper, the Melbourne Daily Paper, the Herald Sun today, was a terrific coverage of Adrian Fletcher and his value for any one of the 4 clubs that he's played for in the AFL.
He's a real engine room player. Does most of his work between centre-half forward and centre-half back. Doesn't go forward on many occasions. But I guess he wouldn't have figured too strongly in the Crows' preparation for this game, given the fact that he's come off a fairly serious injury.
It's a steady of the Dockers wanted, wasn't it? Their first goal this term, 5-8, 4-3. Ben Hart's having an awful match so far in his 150th. His bad kick a moment ago sent the Dockers forward. Back in the centre, Costa, bad handball, put Johnson under the gun. Johnson got pushed in the back, he'll get it back.
Gee, they were lucky because Rashudo was under pressure when he gathered it too.
Hart's come off and Edwards has come on. That's not a surprise at this stage. Johnson measures the kick, Wren's the target, man up high, ball comes to ground, Modric, good take by Wren, steadies, goes for goal, Carroll front spot, Jarman uses all his nous to push him away, and through from behind, so the Wren kick just off target, and it's 4-4 to 5-8. Carroll doing pretty well on Jarman because Jarman tonight's got a sniff of it. You can tell that he thinks he's in for a big night, and Carroll's been able to hold him up. Sinclair unable to take it. Now Jarman will kick his 3rd. Bang, straight through the middle. 4th, make that. 4 to Jarman, and that's a very big return in the first half, and he's keeping the Crows in it, isn't he, at 5-8 to 5-4.
There's a poor option here by Clement kicking the ball out on that occasion. It just really wasn't on, and Jarman, as we've seen him on so many occasions in the past, just swooping on that crumb and finishing. And in a situation like that, I don't know anyone I'd rather have the ball in their hands of.
Well, Tim, you gave another meaning to the terminology vacuum cleaner last week. And was that vacuum cleaned by Darren Jarman or what? He is just sensational. Give him a little sniff that we were spoken about. And he's a real chance. Sanson for his second goal. No. Well marked by Carroll. It came in awkwardly at his chest, and the one grab mark, he did it quite nicely. He kicks in towards centre half back. And Jarman has robbed Peter Mann in broad daylight. Well, it's not daylight, have a look at this. This is an unbelievable umpiring decision. Jarman is absolutely irate. Whoops. He's going to get 50 metres. Not for the throwing of the ball, I would suggest, but more for the verbal barrage that he gave the umpire.
Well, he just lets himself down in that undisciplined area at times, Darren Jarman. Even if he believes in his own mind this was a mark to him, and really, you'd have to say that the ball was his, but you just have to keep your composure when you're a senior player in a team of football.
Well, they're under pressure now, the Crows, right deep in the forward pocket. Fletcher's got it back. Little kick by Fletcher. Waterhouse juggles the mark and takes it. He's at centre half forward for the Fremantle Dockers, and he has a chance to kick his first goal. The Dockers to get some respite.
Umpire Brian Sheen still speaking to Jarman behind play, just telling him to cool it.
So Waterhouse from 40 metres out, beautiful long kick, emphatically over the goal umpire's head for a goal. Waterhouse kicks his first, and each time the Crows have had a run at the Dockers, they have had just a very quick answer.
Well, look, even if the mark was his, sometimes, as I mentioned before, you've just got to keep your head in a situation. Things go against you from time to time. As it was, that ball ended up in the Dockers forward line. It shouldn't have been anywhere near there. It should have been 2 kicks away.
Great play by the Dockers. Jarman still incensed. I must admit, I thought the man took first hold of the footy. I don't know if this man's mark
hit with you, Bruce,
or a bounce. So he's going to have to forget that, Jarman. He's kicked 4, but he's cost 1. And that was an important one because there probably won't be any more scoring in this first half. Modrill playing out at half forward. Fletcher's been fantastic to Sinclair. The Dockers go forward again. Maybe a late goal here. Big fly by Clement. Ball comes to ground. Rashido trapped it magnificently against the odds. Bickley's away and streaming forward as he goes to full forward and the siren sounds. And the Dockers lead by 10 points in what? Oh, careful. It's half time here. Jarman getting amongst it. Trent Carroll getting amongst it. And this crowd, which is far from packed, probably about 20,000, 22,000, are really into this. Modra, the mediator here, as he was a moment ago with Jarman, trying to settle him down. What an interesting first half Darren Jarman's had. He didn't really get involved last week in the Gats. He's certainly involved in this. He's kicked 4. He's been given a 50-metre penalty that resulted in the goal. And then right at the end, but the Dockers are 10 points in front. The stakes were always going to be high here tonight, weren't they? And the two teams are playing like it's their last match for the year. The Dockers are really fired up here as the umpires go off first, and then Jarman leads the Crows off. What a first half. 2 serious knee injuries by the look of it to 2 of the Dockers young Colts. Tregenza's off the ground. Jarman's got 4, but the Dockers are in front by 10 points.
Bruce, certainly unprecedented. I can confirm that they're saying it's cruciate ligaments for both players, so possible reconstructions and out for a year, I guess. Girls, what about your boys?
The game's going right now.
You can't wait to see it curl. So Norwich, little kick forward. Costa, still with Costa. Crows 10 points behind the Dockers. Bickley back to Caven. Caven pushing forward to Wren. Interesting balance the Crows have got tonight with the very tall team they've got out there, and it's going to be a bounce. Curls is down on the boundary line now with Barry. Anything at half-time, Neil?
No, Bruce, but it's very interesting. The Crows would have to start well this quarter to win this football match. They would have to get the first couple of goals, in my opinion.
Wills and Burton, interestingly, both on the interchange, down to 20 men as Bickley kicks around the body. Modra at half forward. Little toe poke, clever enough. Jarman in the pocket, back there with him. Carroll still with Jarman, trying to turn him inside out, left foot. And he's hooked it very severely and out on the fall. 4 goals to Jarman. And the Crows trail at 5:46.8.
It's amazing there, Tim, that he may not have even had a look there to try and give a pass off. Just to slap it onto his left foot and hope for the best. Adelaide have got possession of the ball. It's wide at right half forward. Bickley has a look and delivers well. Puts it at the face of Darren Jarman and is very skillful. Darren Jarman will shoot for his 5th goal. Is there any danger that they're too one-wayish with Darren Jarman kicking 5 of their 6 if he kicks this?
Look, I don't think so. I think the way they've set up, then they've really put their eggs in the one basket. He's the man that's been commanding the space up forward. But Rashudo has just been brilliant tonight.
Well, Darren Jarman going for his 5th. He looks as though he's got it. 5 out of 6 is a pretty good effort, and we're just into the second half. Plenty of time for him to add to his personal tally, but more importantly, he brings Adelaide to within 4 points of the Dockers.
And the 18th possession there by Rashudo was just magnificent. Over the top with a long handball releasing Bickley, and just not enough pressure on Bickley, just too easy that.
So a combination between 3 of the more experienced players for Adelaide. Bickley, Rashudo and then Jarman. Dockers get the ball to half forward, but well chopped off by James. He's doing a pretty good job. He goes wide to Bickley. Bickley with plenty of time to assess and then kick in the direction of Pittman. He runs away from Michael. Bit of momentum here with Adelaide. Punched away from Jarman, this time by young Carroll. He does it well and forces a boundary throw in.
Jarman's form has actually left Modra in no man's land because he's playing out on a flank being picked up by O'Reilly. And I guess in some ways the Adelaide Crows would rather have O'Reilly out on a flank than holding down the full-back position.
Fletcher away at half-back, had a very good second term. Kicks towards centre wing. Nice take there by Chisholm. So the Dockers lead 6-8 to 6-4 here. Chisholm called to play on now. Measures a kick to full forward. Brown gave a shove. He's going to be paid. The mark. Good, strong mark. I think he looked up at the umpire and thought, well, this will be close. He was fantastic in the first quarter. As Tim said, he played up the ground a bit more in the second term, but his effectiveness was up forward early. He kicked 4 goals in a hurry for Swan Districts last week in the local competition. He started on Fuster at half-back that day. Fuster kicked an early goal and then he was shoved forward and kicked 4. So he's run into a bit of form, and that's a good kick, an important goal. He's been their key forward, there's no question about that. With 3 goals and a number of telling marks, he turned Ben Hart inside out in the first quarter, and now he's kicked his 3rd.
And this is one of the real grey areas in our game. Just watch this again. Is it a push in the back or is it a mark? Bassett has the front position. There's the nudge. Takes him out of the contest. I would have thought that was perhaps in the back on that occasion.
Well, a question could be asked as to whether that decision was correct by the umpire, but he didn't waste any time, and neither does Fletcher. He gets it towards half forward, but wasn't that a good mark taken by Peter Caven in the key half-back position? 10 points is the margin. It was 10 points at half-time, a goal each so far in this third quarter. Kick by Bassett has found Rashudo, still behind the wing. Mark Rashudo to play on. Kicks down to that area. Knocked away, back towards Ormond Allen. Rashudo's going to get pinged here. Pouncing on it is kick it over his left shoulder. It bounces awkwardly at half forward. Trying to make the football his was Bassett. He did well, kept his eyes wide on it. James there to help him out. James kicked to half forward. The ball spills to the back. Modra a little slow. Run down by O'Reilly. McGovern, what's happened? Is that in the back? It's deemed as in the back, and I don't think that O'Reilly He'd have to feel a bit disappointed with that. Might have been a square off, but holding on, was he?
He didn't have the ball.
Well, the free kick is with Modra. From 50 metres, Tony Modra goes for the long kick. He misses, and it's well marked back there by Burton.
Last line of defence, the big spider. Have you seen the rucks, Tim, with the big three for Adelaide and Burton?
Well, it's been an interesting battle, hasn't it? We've got Pittman up against the young fella Michael, and Burton's been coming on and off the bench.
Free kick to the Crows, is it? At the 50. Umpire indicating that Johnson's going to get a free kick here. So Johnson just outside 50 for a push in the back. Dockers 10 points in front. That was the margin at half-time. Kick towards Jarman. It's the way they're going to go all the time, hanging on Carroll. Jarman clever inside to Wren. I think Carroll probably thought it was Jarman was happy to run the ball out of play, and Jarman was able to get a hook on it, and Wren was in the right place at the right time. So this is a big kick for Wren. He's not a bad goal kicker, but he's not the most reliable. He's getting ready for the check side by the look of it, and he kicks the check side, and he likes it. It's a goal. Another important one for the Crows on a night where goals have been hard to get. 7-8 to 7-4, and Jarman's influence is enormous here. And I just wonder, would you now put O'Reilly onto Jarman?
I'd make a change now. There's no doubt that the young kid Carroll's done all right. On this occasion, just making something out of absolutely nothing.
Good angle, isn't it?
Terrific angle, but just so confident the way that Wren went back and kicked that banana kick too. The angle really wasn't that closed.
So the bounce back at the centre. Fremantle lead by 4 points. Burton gets it down to Fletcher. Not able to take the ball away. Pittman striving. Now the Adelaide side's defence under pressure. Kicked away there by Caven. Gathered by Brown. Gets his right foot to it, but kicks it out on the full.
Well, answering your question, you've got O'Reilly on Modra. Now Modra is a dangerous player when he's at his very best. He's coming back. It's only his second game since his knee reconstruction. And you've got now Jarman, who's been the most influential and damaging forward with 5 goals on the ground. I think now's the time to make the change.
Pittman up high. Rashudo. Oh, that's a free kick against him, isn't it? Surely. No argument from Mark Rashudo. Free kick to Gale. Gale between wing and right half forward. Kicks it to within scoring distance for Fremantle. Good disciplined punch away by Ormond Allen. Forces a throw in about 10, 12 metres around from the Dockers goal.
I think the story of the night, though, is the job that Clement has done on Smart. As we see that statistic there, Adelaide have won 4 of their last 5 games. So they've been in reasonable form, although they dropped one last week that they would have thought that they perhaps would have won against Carlton at home.
Pittman lays it down. Ben Hart caught. Took a long time to get rid of it. Only as far as Fletcher. Clever kick by Fletcher. Gives a chance at the front of the square. Bouncing ball. Beats them all. Out almost a half back. 35 metres from the Dockers goal. Sinclair quickly onto it. Sinclair with a bit of space. High ball back. Crows have got numbers. Building it away. Bassett at the back. Ball comes to ground. Brown and Johnson. And it's going to be a bounce. Adrian Barrich.
Bruce, while talking about the umpiring, it's a big day actually for Grant Vernon. It's his 200th AFL game tonight, so Kills sends him all his best wishes.
And he won't forget it because Darren Jarman spat on him, didn't he, just before half-time? I don't think he meant to, but a lot of that saliva got onto the chest, I think, as a big kick by Wren, back into the centre. Norwich back turn, was able to force the ball forward to Parker. Handball missed by O'Reilly. It was a tough one to take. Back to Caven, pushed in the back, no free kick. Back to Bond. Bond with a bit of time now. Delivers to half forward. Big fly at the back from Ormond Allen. Bassett, who's a very, very promising young player, kicks the ball to centre wing and a boundary throw in. So the Crows are 7-4 and the Dockers are 7-8.
I think if I was Malcolm Blight, I'd be considering putting Smart down on one of the forwards that the Dockers obviously want to play inside their forward line, someone perhaps like Brown or even Waterhouse, and then shifting that defender up the ground a bit. They're going to try and get Smart into the game if they possibly can.
Well done by Pittman. Just a blind hand pass. Bickley, then Johnson. Watch the wizardry of Darren Jarman. Not on this occasion. Forces an errant hand pass from Carroll. Edwards across the face of goal. Ring couldn't take the mark. It spills to the back. Trying to swoop on it was Rashudo. Now a chance here for Jarman again, but he's outnumbered, very much so. Dodd, deep in the back pocket, good kick, finds Fletcher. Fletcher now in towards the middle, not bad. The bounce favours McGovern. McGovern has a bit of a look and does it nicely. Out in front of Chisholm, and that's out on the full against Mark Bickley. Good one, is it? And the free kick is with Chisholm. Chisholm will kick the ball to within 30 metres, within 20 metres. Well done by Ben Hart. Ormond Allen gets rid of his opponent, but he did it illegally. And the free kick will be taken by Callahan right in front of goal. And he shouldn't miss from here. Well, you'd have to say 1 out of 10 for that effort by Ormond Allen. Just a blatant free kick for Callahan, and he'll kick a goal. He's kicked 2 now. He kicked the first goal of the game, and he's kicked the goal that has given a 10-point advantage to the Dockers halfway through the third term.
And I think the Dockers have got a great opportunity in the latter part of this third term to get themselves a bit of an advantage. There's a bit of a breeze blowing to the end. They're kicking. There's a number of Adelaide players who are starting to look a little bit tired in this third quarter if they continue to run.
Margin stretches back out to 10 points. Callahan's kicked 2. Brown has got 3 for the Dockers. Jarman 5 for the Crows. Burton wins it. Rashudo has been so good tonight. Bickley, Smart's got to get into the game. Pittman's been okay. Johnson, quick hands. Rashudo goes towards Jarman in the pocket's got him. Beautiful kick and a good mark by Jarman. And Jarman and Rashudo are having huge matches here. Neil Curley.
Just done a little bit to his knee here. He's coming off, and I don't think he's 100%.
That's Modric, is it, mate?
Yes, he's coming off now, and I think he might have just done something to that knee.
Well, it's been a night for knees, Neil. There's no doubt about that. Marsh coming on. Can Jarman kick goal number 6? He should score. And he's hit the. Has he just got it in or hit the post?
It's in.
He's got it. His 6th goal. So 6 to Jarman. It's a big return, isn't it? And remember, he got the one back to Wren in this quarter. 8-8-8-4. That's a huge effort. In fact, that's the best performance equalled by any Crow against the Dockers in the short history between the two clubs.
Carroll wasn't too far off him on that occasion, but he has now kicked 6 goals. We see Modric going to the phone. And as I said before, I think it is time to make that change.
So 6 goals to Darren Jarman, back to a 4-point advantage for the Dockers. Up goes Burton, but the ball spills to the back. Johnson flat as he went after the football. He looks a little groggy. He hasn't regained his footing just yet. The ball at half forward for Fremantle, gathered by Ormond Allen. Look for James, well done by James. Gets it away to Goodwin. Goodwin into the middle. Very important gather. Well done by Smart. Just an important little touch. The ball kicked out wide there by Edwards to Rashudo. Rashudo in the direction of, and found Jarman once again. The player in the square is Johnson in all sorts of trouble.
Stretches out, Robbo.
He copped a really heavy knock there. Had his head down over the ball. Just watch this again. Eyes on the ball. And that was Sinclair coming through from the side there.
So the third stretcher situation in this match tonight. Unfortunately for Fremantle, 2 knee injuries to Paul Maher and Luke Toyer. Now on this occasion, Kane Johnson.
And Robbo, if Jarman does kick his 7th goal, will this be the first time that Adelaide have been in front tonight?
I would say yes.
It's been a courageous effort really since that first quarter, hasn't it? Because they really had to steel themselves. They had to fight their way back into the game.
Gee, this kid's really out to it, isn't it, young Johnson?
I like the way they're lifting him onto the stretcher. A lot of technique in that.
So Adrian Barrett and Neil Curley have been kept more than busy tonight. The interchange has been fully tested. Curls, we saw Modra on the phone a moment ago. You were pretty sure that he might have just had a little problem with his knee. Yeah, Modra.
No, the doc seems to think he's okay, and he seems to think he's okay. It just may have been a little twinge.
And
I think he's better than this boy they're taking off now, though.
yeah, no doubt about that. So we have another look at Sinclair and Johnson. So Johnson out cold here. And Adelaide hasn't been in front all night, so no Adelaide players ever kicked more than 6 goals against Fremantle. So Jarman's got a chance to do a bit here as we feel for Johnson as he leaves. I can't remember a match like this, can you? I mean, the 2 knees and all the problems that we've had. There were a lot of injuries here last week. Michael Malthouse talking about increasing the interchange bench at this ground last week, where the West Coast Eagles had a number of high-profile players injured towards the end of the match against North Melbourne.
They did a lot of work here on the surface, didn't they, a couple of years ago at Subiaco?
Oh, yeah.
The ground?
Yeah.
Would there be anything suspect about it?
No, look, it's unusual because you'd expect, this is probably the biggest ground in the competition, you'd expect that there wouldn't be that many injuries because of the distance between the lines.
Adrian Barrett, what do you think about that?
Bruce, they did actually dig out the whole ground here and relay the surface, and became a lot firmer after that, and you'd have to say it's a better surface, but certainly very, very firm, and could be the reason for causing the injuries.
So Jarman going for his 7th goal. And if he can slot this one through, Adelaide will be in front. Good kick by Jarman. He's got 7 and they are in front. Gee, that's a pretty good effort, isn't it, by Darren Jarman. He's had 10 kicks and he's kicked 7 goals, 1. Very, very important return playing at full forward for Adelaide.
And once again, it was Rashuda who fed him. Just watch this kick. Absolutely perfect. All Jarman needs is 2 steps on his opponent, and Carroll just hasn't been able to go with him. And really, it is time now to make that change.
Crows in front for the first time tonight. They've got Tregendra and Johnson out of business, and Toya and Maher out of business, of course, for Fremantle. Wheels out of the centre. The Dockers have got to strike back here to full forward. Bassett, big fly, almost held. It was a very good attempt, and there has been a move on Jarman and Tim, and it looks like Shane Parker's gone back there. So Parker has got the job on Jarman. 7 goals for Jarman. I was in Sydney last week and saw Lockett get 12 out of 18. We get used to that over the years with Lockett, but huge percentages, aren't they? Jarman tonight, 7 out of 10. Norris quickly forward to full forward. Ben Hart, who's had a wicked night, goes towards the line, and is it still in play? I think it is. Waterhouse still with it, ducking, weaving. Can he get a handball across? Well done by James, out of play.
And why wouldn't Hart have taken that ball through for a behind on that occasion?
Neil Curley.
Yeah, I'd hate to think what would happen to the Crows here if they really tighten up on Rashuda. They've got to try and, for Fremantle to win this game, they've got to put a clamp on Rashuda.
Boundary throw in. James has been good at the back for the Crows. Bassett's high ball doesn't go far. Pittman getting underneath it with Orman, Allen, Costa caught, and that's going to be a bounce. Callaghan onto him. So Adelaide hanging in here. They've done a very good job since quarter time when it looked as if the Dockers might run right away with this, and the Crows are in front for the first time this evening. Grant Vernon and his 200th, Brian Sheehan and Scott McLaren.
Actually, Neil Curley makes a good point, and I think the best defensive player in the midfield that the Dockers have is Bond. He's been able to do those sorts of jobs in the past. Norris probably just plays a little bit loose.
Wasn't that smart?
Clever.
I don't know whether it must have gone 10.1 metres, if that's the required distance.
It was Jarman-like, wasn't it?
Oh, it was just smart.
Oh, but he's a smart player.
Well, he got the ball to Dodd. Dodd will have the set shot, but by gee, I'm sure, no, he's missed. Well, that's a bit of a disappointment because it was such a clever piece of play by Dale Kickett. We'll have another look now.
What's that? Just kick it, sees him out of the corner of his eye. And I think you called it right, Robbo. It may have just travelled 10 metres.
Well, Bassett to kick the ball in for Adelaide. Gets well outside his defensive 50. Pittman does well. He's played a fair game, Pittman. The kick by Edwards. No, he's with Edwards. Connell. So it came from Costa.
Connell,
Connell, was it? Edwards has the ball behind the wing. He'll kick towards half forward for Adelaide. Nearly onto it there was young Marsh. And now the ball over for a boundary throw-in. Neil Curley.
Yes, young Johnson actually went to sleep out there and has been taken off with severe concussion, and I don't think he'll take any further part in the game.
8-9-9-4. Bad miss by Dodd at the other end with the centre break. So the Dockers well on top in the centre breaks, as the Blues were last week against the Crows. Clement's high ball into the centre. Chisholm taking off here on Goodwin with a bit of pace. And then a bit of flair. Not a good kick though. Brown's going to attack Caven. Oh, that's courage. Oh, he should have been paid it. Oh, and he's in trouble, Caven, I think. Caven stood there forever. And I always think, when I think about this bloke sitting under the ball, that he must remember Sydney and the Lockett situation. And he's shown a lot of guts there to hang and take the mark. Burton off, Michael on. So they're going down like...
He was always going to be late, Brown, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was always going to be late.
Both got 2 down and 2 to go.
Well, Caven might be the third one here because he's in a bit of strife, I think. He's really out to it. Not maybe as severely as Johnson, but not a hell of a lot in it. He's very, very slowly making his way up. It was a really gutsy effort by Caven. He knew what was coming.
I don't think anyone's ever doubted that Peter Caven keeps his eye on the football. But,
here's another stretcher. There's Luke Toyer. Well, how ironic, as we see Luke Toyer coming back. Another stretcher comes out for an Adelaide Crows player this time. So the stretcher and Toyer getting a good hand here. That's shocking luck for him. Well, what a match we've seen here tonight. Unique almost, you'd think. Barra as Toyer comes back past you.
Bruce, what a tremendous effort by Luke Toyer. Wants to come out and show the flag for his teammates who are putting in a tremendous effort at the moment. This is just a great game, but we look like we have lost our 5th player. Can't remember a game we've lost 5 players on stretchers.
And Neil, from an Adelaide point of view, that was a big play by Caven, wasn't it?
Well, it was his ball. He had to stay there, and he did stay there, and he copped a very nasty one from behind, and I'd be very surprised if he comes back on the ground.
So,
a lot of courage there.
So between the two of you down there, I mean, it looked as if the Dockers were heavily disadvantaged early with the 2 knee injuries. Right now, with all the, do you think the Crows are now in the depth?
I think it's about even now, because the boy with the corky is in trouble.
And you're down to Modra on the bench, Curls.
Bad bench man.
But Curls out of form and out of touch and probably out of sorts a bit.
Yes, he is. There's quite a few of the Crows players still finding it difficult to find the footy cleanly. Fremantle is one of those, of course. So I think young Perry will go to centre half back now, and we'll see how they settle down.
And what about Ben Hart, Curls?
Yeah, well, it's amazing. 1/50th and a little bit of emotion, I suppose, and he's just not quite balanced enough tonight.
So Orman Allen hugs the line. Good mark by Bond. So Caven from the ground, Johnson from the ground, both concussed in this term. 2 very serious knee injuries, and Tregenza also with a calf injury. And he's out of business. Good mark. Pittman's the best big man on the free kick.
yeah, this bloke was just absolutely dumped out of the contest, Carroll.
So he's got it at centre wing. Crows lead by a point, getting deep now into the 3rd quarter.
Gee, they've got to get something out of Nigel Smart. Just 1 kick and 1 hand pass. And really taken out of the game here by Clement. Struggle for possession in the right forward pocket. There's Modra. Is it? On the bench.
And Robbo, I made the point before, Bond has done a very good job on Peter Vardy tonight, has kept him extremely quiet in the forward line. But there's one player on the ground at the moment that could win this game for the Crows, apart from Jarman. It is Rashudo, and I think I'd get my best stopper on him.
Costa does well. Maybe the advantage with Adelaide. Connell has the football. He's at left half back. His kick, well marked, very well marked by Marsh. He's on centre wing, the young man, and he kicks the ball to half forward. It goes past the players who were Man and Wren, gathered by Bond. Hand pass, Man's in strife. He's run down by Smart, put the pressure on, allowed Edwards to gather and kick towards full forward. In front, Darren Jarman. He might struggle to get the distance. He's got a player short. He's trying to force the players to man up. Now he goes long, and he goes very long. It's been marked back there by Vardy. The quiet man that Tim just mentioned, straight into the play, and he's marked. It's his first mark, coming up for his third kick, and more importantly, he should kick his first goal for the game.
It was just the carry on that ball that really confused the players on that occasion. 1-2 steps, Jarman thump, and the Dockers players thought it was going to be a 50-metre kick. It travelled 60 and they're out of position.
Vardy for goal puts it through. Adelaide lead by 7.
Well, this game is not over, not by a long shot. As we see Peter Vardy there, that's his first goal. Only 3 kicks tonight, 1 mark, and he's been well held by Bond as a forward. They really haven't had much from their players at ground level, the Adelaide Crows, although they do push them right up the ground so that Jarman can have all that space inside the 50-metre arc on his own.
Crows stretch it a bit here. They lead by a kick and a bit. 10-4, 8-9, 7 points in front. Jarman, a huge game here. 7 goals and a couple that have come from his boot to other players who have scored. Smart, importantly, getting a touch. Well done there by Parker. Down to Wren. Crows enjoying a good patch here, despite the fact they've had a couple of players taken from the ground. Severely concussed. Sinclair to Wills. Wills' handball in board to Fletcher. Option was right. Fletcher goes to Brown. Good kick. He's 65 metres out. He's kicked 3. They want it on in a hurry. High ball. It's Hart versus Waterhouse. Bit of a wrestle. Chisholm, cleverly done. They're on to him, the Crows. Kick it in the pocket. Kick it in the pocket. And it's a behind. So back to a goal. It's 8-10 to 10-4. Dale Kickett, his 5th AFL club. He's really done extremely well at the Dockers. Best and fairest last year. And short pass coming into Connell. Just a goal in this huge game for both clubs. Kick out to half-back. Run down there, Bickley by Sinclair. Sinclair in after it again. Crows quickly onto it. Boundary throw in. Neil Curley.
Yes, Caven, unfortunately, severe concussion, will not take any further part in the game.
So Adelaide down to 19 with Modra on the bench. And the last time they played this year, or the first time and only time, obviously, the Crows won by 93 points. In fact, they've beaten the Dockers on 2 occasions in their 4 wins by over 90 points. They've had some massive victories over the Dockers. There's Modra, Brian Sando in the foreground, the club doctor, Olympic doctor.
It's a sorry sight, isn't it, for Adelaide? 3 players down, and Modra, the only one left standing at the moment.
And they're really unbalanced out there at the moment too, the Adelaide Crows. They've got tools all over the place. Wren at centre-half forward, Marsh up the ground. They've got Pittman in the ruck, Perry in defence. It'll be a courageous win if the Adelaide Crows get up and win this tonight.
Waterhouse up over the top. The ball locked up about 40 metres out from the Fremantle goal. Luke Toyer, Matthew Burton. Luke Toyer, of course, with a bad knee injury, along with Marr. Knocked away by Michael. Puts some pressure on now. In the pocket. Michael Brown, he's a tough man at the footy. Brown, he's kicked 3 goals, and he's kicked 3 very good goals. Chisholm and Goodman. Still the bench for Adelaide. Fletcher, there's a push out. Umpire's seen that, and Carroll, who was playing on Jarman for most of Darren Jarman's 7-goal haul, will get the free kick against Pittman and might kick a goal that can level the scores.
I don't know about that free kick, because from where I sit, it looked like he really just came in to shepherd Pittman out of the way.
Terrible boundary throw-in as well, didn't he? Short boundary throw-in.
Carroll from only 20 metres, slide angle, and has missed.
Gee, Dodd and Carroll, both from 20 metres in this quarter.
It can cost you the game. There's no doubt about that. 19 shots to 14, and they still trail.
Bassett kicks in and finds Perry. Perry looked to go with the left. Now decides on the hand pass. Finds Goodwin. Goodwin's kick lands close to the centre of the ground, but the mark taken by Waterhouse. Gee, they're away here. Wills wide, can run, one bounce, wouldn't mind a second, then kicks it high. Not a lot of penetration, but certainly puts the Adelaide half-back line under a bit of pressure. Connell, little kick into the middle, important possession here. Ben Hart, run down was Dale Kickett. Very strong at the football there was it Bickley or Goodwin?
Bickley.
Terrific stuff by Bickley.
Fantastic play by Bickley. He ran from about 25 metres away from that contest as we see Pittman coming off the ground and Modra to come back onto the ground.
So the bounce of the ball, probably a kick and a half from the Dockers goal. Norrish gets it away. Very good snatch by Edwards. Then to Rashudo. Rashudo over his left shoulder, gets the ball in the area of Jarman, but chopped off here by Mann. Spots a player wide. It's Bond. Bond goes down the line and the mark taken by Norrish.
Centre wing. He's had a fair bit of the footy, Norrish. This will be his 20th possession. Started very well, as did the whole of the midfield for the Dockers. Kicks it inside 50. Fletcher the fly. Marsh at the back. Connell read it pretty well. High ball back to almost centre wing. Perry got underneath it. Went to ground. Free kick going to Perry for hanging on at centre wing. Connell wanted the advantage, I think, and Perry's got it. Crows leading by 10-4 to 8-11, so it's a 5-point game here. The Dockers have had a couple of very easy shots for goal in this term, and one of them was Dodd, who's now coming from the ground and coming on for him as Gale. Kick goes over the top, which will suit the Crows. Costa's onto it to full forward. Jarman versus Parker. Jarman, Parker, ball rolling, hits the post. Jarman wanting a free kick, saying he was held on to. So that ball going all the way there. Long ball in, but both hanging on. Jarman as much as Parker, and are behind in the end. So the Crows are a goal in front. 10-5 to 8-11. Danger. Under pressure. McGovern was under the hammer there with Callaghan, and a boundary throw in.
He actually didn't want the ball on that occasion, McGovern. He was the most surprised player on the ground when the actual handball went towards him.
Under great pressure, Jared Neesham throughout the week coming down to sit on the boundary line. Gee, he wants this win. Wills belts a handball out into the open space. It's a free kick, I think, against the Crows, coming back to Wills for a high tackle. And Wills will take it at half-back. He looks a bit proppy. Gee, he wasted a ball, didn't he, a few minutes ago through the centre when he just bombed it up high and Crows had the numbers.
Jared Neesham laying down the Lord, who Brad Dodd, I'm sure, just a young player, plenty to learn. So the quarter we expect will go well past 30, maybe up to 35 minutes, with a couple of 35 minutes now, we believe, as Fletcher kicks it into the pocket, and the mark is taken by Brown. Close to the ground, Michael Brown, 3 goals against his name so far, and he bombs it close to the square. Lots of pressure applied there, but it's knocked over for a boundary throw in. Adelaide lead by 6 points into the last minute of this third term.
Parker taking Jarman down the ground a moment ago, so he's in the back pocket. The goal-scoring star of this match. Brown's been clearly the best forward for the Dockers. Again, a short boundary throw in. Marsh back to Connell, who's had a fair bit of the ball in this quarter. Bad kick. Ordinary option. Sinclair's got it. Now, boundary umpire saying it's out of bounds. How come? It can't be.
It was touched off the boot. Yeah. That's what they signalled anyway. It was touched off the boot, and then it went over the boundary line.
Oh, because he went over the line.
Went over the line, yeah.
But
no, the actual ball was over the line when he marked it. That's what he's saying.
Well, it wasn't. It was clearly inside. It was a metre. And look at that boundary throw. That's a disgraceful boundary throwing.
No, but if it's touched off the boot and then he walks over the line, then the ball's out of bounds.
Well, it's a free kick to the Dockers. Well, it's Rafferty's rule. That boundary umpire.
But who signalled the touch? It's got to be the central umpire for that to happen.
Absolutely. Now we've got a free kick, and the boundary throw in a moment ago was the third shocking boundary throw in a row from that same boundary umpire. The Pittman free kick a moment ago, and then that one that never got above head high. And Carroll, who missed one from here, 5 minutes earlier, has a chance to put the Dockers all square at three-quarter time. It's probably the score this match deserves, to be level at three-quarter time. He's got it. Unbelievable stuff here. If you're confused at home, join the club. Can't wait to have a look at that boundary thrown again. Oh, unbelievable.
There's been a couple of poor ones tonight, but really, about a minute before that, when the Adelaide Crows player had the ball deep in defence, he really should have just stepped back over the line. When teams are so good at moving the ball from a kick-out now, I think you'd rather the situation where you can set up a play rather than be under pressure.
So half a minute left in the third term. Scores a level. Up over the top there was Marsh. Bursting through the middle is Wills. He'll back himself here. You'd have to suggest Wills will go for it. He'll go for it. A big kick by Wills has just missed. By gee whiz. Aren't there some people on their feet after that run?
That's a free kick back here. A free kick against Waterhouse for his shepherd, I think, on Sampson. And he's hurt himself too, Waterhouse. He ran at Sampson, not within 5 metres, and I think that's why umpire Sheeny has awarded a free kick against him.
Well, an anti-climax. The free kick is with Sampson.
Waterhouse still holding his shoulder.
And the umpire's just a little confused. I think they're going down to make sure that the goal umpire has not awarded it behind.
I think you're right. He's got to cross himself.
So very technical.
See, across the flags.
Very technical and very efficient, the central umpires. Brian Sheehan was right onto that.
Would have been interesting. 10 seconds to go in the final quarter. Scores 11.
So
great drama here.
Sampson for Adelaide. There's only seconds left in the third quarter. Nigel Smart kicks it to the danger area for the Dockers. Jarman, well done by Parker. McGovern, bomb to defend with Mann, and then eventually Parker. The siren has sounded. 38 minutes that quarter. Lots of drama. Unfortunate injuries to both sides. And we have an absolutely tied-up game. 65 points apiece at three-quarter time, the Dockers and the Crows.
Start of the last quarter, both teams heavily depleted on the interchange bench, with key players unable to continue in the match. Sampson underneath will get a free kick. Quickly to Adrian Barrett and Neil Curley. Adrian.
Bruce, what a game, what drama. The Dockers playing for their coach, their pride, just a magnificent effort so far. Two of their wounded warriors on the bench, Luke Toyer and Paul Maher, giving the team support. Knuckles, what about your blokes?
Well, Malcolm just asked them for a big effort. There's about 7 Crows players who've got to play better than they have so far if they want to win the game.
James pushes forward. McGovern with some pace and a leg speed. I'm sure that Tim feels could be a big part in this last quarter. Kick it out wide, gets to Carroll at centre wing. Dockers have got a loose man here. In fact, they've got a Paddock. Can go all the way. Callaghan decides to go short, and he's found his man in Chisholm. Well, Adelaide really caught out here. Chisholm had a couple more on, but he's within kicking distance, and this surely will put the Dockers in front. He should score one way or the other. He's inside 50, well and truly. He'll kick from about 40 metres out. Chisholm, 1 goal only in 1998. He's got his second. The Dockers get the all-important first goal. And at three-quarter time, you talked off air about leg speed, and that was a good example of it, wasn't it?
Well, I think if there's one area they can exploit, the Adelaide Crows in this final term, it is with their leg speed. They're very tall on the ground at the moment, the Adelaide Crows, and I think there's perhaps a couple of their players who started to look a little bit tired in that third term.
So the first goal of the last quarter to the Dockers, kicked by Scott Chisholm. Pittman up high. Kick forward there by Callaghan. Callaghan's kick lands at half forward. Gathered by Carroll. 2 important possessions to that player. Wills high. High and ugly in the finish. I think it might have gone out on the full. Was it touched?
I think it might have just landed inside the line. Neil Curley on the bench.
Yeah, interesting move here. Nigel Smart to full forward, where Darren Jarman's kicked 7 goals, and D. Jarman out to centre half forward alongside Modra.
So the boundary throw-in in the right forward pocket for Fremantle. They lead by 6 points, 10-11 to 10-5. Burton up high, knocks it to the front of the square. Certainly puts some pressure on. Perry gets through, and with his unnatural side, does reasonably well in the finish. Forces a throw-in front of Sinclair and Clay Sampson. There's Nigel Smart being matched up. His shadow all night has been Clement. Just 4 touches to Nigel Smart. Fletcher tries to set it up for Sinclair. Run down well there by Sampson. Dodd couldn't quite take the footy with him. Bickley gets his right foot to it. Rashudo at the feet of Mark Rashudo. That's a free kick to Ben Hart. Poor tackle by Waterhouse.
It's untidy, isn't it?
Ben Hart kicks quickly and not bad. It was a floater, but onto the chest there of Costa. Costa's on centre wing. Played a fair game. Kim Costa coming up for possession number 13. He's going to have to bomb away by the look of it. He's got Pittman running in towards right half forward. He kicks in that direction. The ball spills to the back of the pack. Getting back is McGovern. He's close to the line. He'll be happy to see it over. And that's exactly what happens. The umpire will throw it in about 45 metres around from the Adelaide goal.
And they need the next one, even though there's only a goal the difference. Wren front spot, lays it down to Connell. Connell, very untidy, kick to full forward. Jarman gave a push out. He's been as a behind, I think. It's over the line. It's a point. So the Crows within 5 points, 10-6 to 10-11. Should get a good angle here. Have a look. Goal umpire well positioned and the right decision as McGovern brings the ball back in. High kick to the line. Man did well. He actually got in the road of Wren, held him up. Norris has got hold of the ball. Little one to Sinclair at centre wing. Docker's going all right here. 10-11, 10-6. Sinclair inboard to Norris. Norris, well done, Bickley. Very well done. Rashudo to Perry. Awkward handball to Sampson. Round the body, awkward kick. Waiting for it is Vardy, who's had a pretty average old night in his comeback game. Sampson snared it. Rashudo's going to be important. Goes long and high. Jarman works to the right spot. Doesn't go for the kick. Modra goes for it. Ball comes to ground. Parker's after it. In trouble. Smart, it was a sandwich. Smart's kicked the goal. Crows in front. Well, another one that came from not much. Parker will be disappointed, and the Crows have hit the front.
Good Sorry, Bruce, good tackling pressure once again by the forwards, but it was just their clean possession at centre wing position there with Rashudo, and good pressure by Bickley, a good smother, just not allowing the Fremantle Dockers to get away cleanly or clearly with the ball, and they just won't give up the Adelaide Crows. A courageous performance tonight.
Well, both sides striving very hard against the odds. Adelaide presently lead by a point. It's down to Costa, off the side of his boot. It wanders its way towards right half forward. Well done there by Wren. Modra caught, gets the hand pass away. Just inside the forward 50 for Adelaide. By gee whiz, Jess Sinclair. You've got to be careful there. He took it out with not much attempt to really keep it inside the field of play. Adrian Barrage.
Robbo, crowd figure 18,759. Slow to arrive, but a handy size now.
Well, Smart nearly to run onto it again. Bickley to Big Sean Wren, to no one in particular. Kicked away by O'Reilly. Close to the line, Rashudo keeps it in. Oh, strong stuff. Oh, Scotty Chisholm. Hoo-hoo, the crowd give the big cheers to Scotty Chisholm on Mark Rashudo. Forces a boundary throw in. That was terrific stuff. About 75 to 80 metres around from the Adelaide goal. Wren tries to get it down to Rashudo. Gathered by Norris. He runs away. Kick it provides the Shepherd on James. The mark taken close to the ground by Fletcher. He's in the middle of the Subiaco oval. He kicks towards half forward. It's punched away. Gathered by Kickett. Lovely little hand pass. The big spider. has hooked it too far. He missed everything. It'll be thrown in the left forward pocket for the Dockers.
Boy, we're in for a big last quarter. It's really tense here, isn't it? Gale getting ready to come back for the Dockers. Burton down to kick it to Fletcher. Fletcher, kick it or kick a goal. Kick it, walks in and scores. Which team will break first? Kick it coming from the ground, Gale coming on. It's really come down to a test of wills now, hasn't it?
And Fletcher just brilliant.
2 to kick it.
Sold the dummy, held onto the ball, the players went past him, and then Kickett really just had to waltz in and kick that. These centre bounce breaks become critical in a tight game.
Well, I don't know who wants to question the ability of Adrian Fletcher, but he just kept his head there, set it up for Kickett to get the goal, and they go forward again. This time it's Sinclair. Might be Fletcher to swoop on it. No, the ball bounces back towards Gale. Underneath that Sampson, but Fletcher's got the football. And still holding it until the last second. Burton for Waterhouse. Waterhouse, still Waterhouse in the goal square. Brown can't get his foot to it. By gee, there's some frenetic stuff going on there in the goal square by both sides.
They should have made more of that. They really should have made more of that. They just needed one clean possession. And the Adelaide Crows have got Edwards now playing as a free man in defence and McGovern up the other end of the ground for the Dockers.
5 points the margin. Edwards kicks it away. Only as far as Wills. He loves this. Andrew Wills. He's got the goal for the Dockers.
Well, that was a very poor area on that occasion by Edwards to kick the ball blind, unsighted, back into the centre like that. That is such a dangerous kick to kick deep in your own back half. And Will's making him pay on that occasion, and the runner going straight out to Edwards has been shifted back up the ground now, and they're electing not to play with him as a spare man in defence.
Dockers have got a little break here. Tyson Edwards will be disappointed with that. They haven't played the percentages too well at the back tonight, the Crows. Dale Kickett has kicked 2 goals. Came off after he kicked his second one, replaced by Mark Gale. And the Dockers have got the break. If they get the next goal, they're going to be mighty hard to beat. Norris, Rashudo, a fumble. He's been clearly the Crows' best, probably the best man on the ground, I think, without any doubt. And a boundary throw, and Adrian Barrage.
Bruce has just cut the air with a knife down here. It's magnificent. The Dockers are lifting. Injury report, Dale Kickett has a hip injury, getting treatment. May not be able to go back on.
Burton, Pittman, Costa to Sampson. High ball. At half forward, Modra trying to get hold of one. McGovern, well done, Ren, to put the pressure on with Vardy. Back to Modra, good hands. Rashudo, beautiful handball. James, nice kick. Here's a goal. Vardy goes in and kicks it. They're a good side and they're keeping coming. This is a terrific game of footy. Don't you love it when these two sides are at it like this?
Well, when the ball arrived in the forward line, I was thinking Modra hasn't done much tonight, but just camping himself at the base of that pack, it was an intelligent handball, released Rashudo, and Rashudo's awareness and vision, that handball probably travelled about 25 metres, and that set up the goal, and James has been good all night, and that finishing by Vardy, well, he's just brilliant at that.
Well, James, who's been playing across the half-back line, across the full-back line, 17 possessions, gave the chance to Vardy. Burton gets the Dockers forward once again. It's at not quite centre-half forward. Goodwin trying to hold them up. Sinclair gets his left foot to it, kicks it to within scoring distance. Fletcher in front there of Ormond Allen. Ball out to Dodd. Dodd over the top. Brown in for goal number 4. He's got it. Good performance by Brown, 14 touches, 4 goals.
we see Pittman coming from the ground and Marsh going on. Pittman obviously a little tired. He's done most of the rucking tonight. They've got Rent going back now into the centre square. They need a lift from him. He's got to supply the ball to his medium, mid-sized players there in Bickley and Rashudo. This is another critical centre bounce clearance for the Adelaide Crows.
So again, the Dockers get the break. Brown with a big match. Adelaide have got some out-of-form players. Orman Allen has had a shocker along with a few others tonight, but they're hanging in. They need the next one again. The Dockers a couple in front. From the centre, Bickley gets the ball to half forward. Modra caught out of position. Clement belts it forward. Smart read it well to full forward. Jarman will try and hold his place. Great effort there by Parker at the back. Modra trying to get onto it with some pace. Gets rid of Bond. Still with Modra. Nowhere to go. Handball to Jarman. Got a bad bounce actually. Still James and Jarman and Modra. Back to James. He's a beautiful handballer. Costa, well done. Well done, Costa, and he's just kicked to the goal square.
In the back.
Push out. No free kick against the Dockers. Or is it? No. Coming back. Oh, Callahan gave a real shove on Vardy. And cheekily plays on to Bond. That's going to come back.
And what a terrific take that was by Costa at his feet. Couldn't finish it. But the Adelaide Crows, they're far from finished in this game.
13-11, 12-6. They are far from finished, but they do need the next goal, Tim. If the Dockers can break it to 3, it's going to be really tough. Smart's big fly. He and Norman Allen actually were the only 2 to go, and they probably messed each other up. And again, it's going to be a ball up 55 metres from home. Remember Adelaide's run home. They've got to go to Cardinia Park and come back here. And they're 3 at home of Port Adelaide, North Melbourne, and also St Kilda. Lose tonight, they could certainly miss the 8.
12 minutes left. Can the Crows keep forging forward? Bickley forced out of bounds by Andrew Wills. Wills kicked a terrific goal just a moment or so ago. Sinclair in the foreground. Boundary throw in. Marsh up against Mann. The youngster in front. Wills trying to break away. And the umpire will bounce.
And Robbo, Sean Wren wants to get near the action, but Spider Burton, who's opposed to him in the ruck at the moment, is running away from the ball. And there's a real game of cat and mouse going on behind the play.
Andrew Wills indicating that he may have been held by the jumper there, but the umpire continues with his job and bounces. Spills back to Dodd. Dodd quickly out wide, but the mark is taken by Rashudo. They just keep coming to the Crows. They trail by 11 points. Mark Rashudo coming up for possession number 27. 16 kicks and 11 hand passes. He goes for the big torpedo, gets onto it, kicks it to full forward. The mark's been taken. It's an Adelaide mark. Darren Jarman, he's kicked 7 goals. And he should really kick this and bring the margin back to within 1 kick once again.
It was an interesting kick, wasn't it? A torpedo from almost wing position. I know Malcolm Blight, when he was at Geelong, he didn't mind players kicking torpedo punts into the forward line.
Well, it certainly put the defence of Fremantle under pressure, and Darren Jarman skillfully has taken the mark. O'Reilly coming off the ground as Jarman goes for goal number 8. He's got it. It's 5 points the margin once again. Well, that is just a great single-handed effort by Darren Jarman from a goal-kicking point of view. He's kicked 8 goals, 1.
It's been a brilliant performance by him tonight as we see O'Reilly running around the boundary line. Perhaps he's just starting to feel his hamstring. Has had problems in the past. But just a deep penetrating kick there by Rashudo. And Jarman, who's been so good tonight in those one-on-one duels.
It's been a long time since 2 players have made such a contribution with Jarman and Rashudo for a team. Take them away tonight, and this would have been an absolute cakewalk for the Dockers. Burton wins the tap. Next goal is a huge one here. Norris pushes forward. Crows trail by 5 points. Dockers have had the answers in the last quarter. Callahan kicks to full forward. Brown, who's been so good. Bassett, Fletcher's been terrific. This will go all the way. He's got it. has Fletcher been? And his first match back for 6 weeks. And you get the feeling now that every time Adelaide get one, the Dockers have got the answer. And again, Tim, they're winning the ball from the centre.
Well, Spider Burton's been very good in the centre bounce clearance area. After the knock, he's just been running forward. On that occasion, they had the players at the full of the ball. Callahan, he got the ball. But that Fletcher, prior to his injury, was averaging 27 possessions a game. He's such a vital player to this Dockers side.
Well, with 10 and a half minutes left, Fletcher's 16th kick, his second goal, margin back out to 11 points in favour of Fremantle. Bounce back at the centre. Wren being outreached by Burton. Ball spills out wide, kicked out of there by Clement. Adelaide to go forward. Edwards on the end of the hand pass, the short kick. Not marked, no free kick to Smart. He looked to the umpire, but it's been knocked over for a throw-in. Adrian Barrage.
Robbo, the Dockers are down to no fit players on their bench. Stephen O'Reilly's just come back onto the ground, but he may not be able to go back out on the ground. Dale Kickett can't go back out on the ground, and Adelaide have just Pittman on the bench. Can they win, Curl?
Well, they're struggling at the moment simply because they've got too many players not doing enough out there to help. They've only got 3 or 4 players keeping them in the game.
Underneath those Channel 7 jackets, I think you better have a Fremantle jumper on, Barra, and an Adelaide Crows jumper on, Curls, because they may need you. No, Modra kicks the goal. Modra goes back to give congratulations to the person who got it out into his path. Darren Jarman, terrific play. Modra gets the goal, his first. And who's going to win this game? It's just goal for goal. 5 points the margin in favour of Fremantle.
Really, it was the first handball off the deck that set it up, and that was from James. James to Costa. Terrific handball onto Jarman. They just won't lie down, the Adelaide Crows.
I think this is what they mean, goal for goal. This is the definition. 14-11 to 14-6. Modra gets his first tonight. An important centre break. Costa's kick. Fremantle lead by 5 points to centre half forward. Vardy got a high tackle. Smart's quick kick. Jarman not paid and probably hit the deck. Good call, I reckon, by Brian Sheehan. Jarman will be careful here. It looked as if it hit the deck. Jared Neesham and Ben Allen, Stan Magro as they look on.
Smart's becoming a valuable player up forward now.
I think every touch now is so important for both sides. Wren pushes. Parker will concede. Happy to. And the margin is 4 points. It's 14-11 to 14-7. Let's have a look at the Jarman mark again. Remember the one just before half-time when he got absolutely incensed? This one, it looked as if it hit the ground. Gee, had it for a while. And then it touched the deck. Brian Sheehan well placed. McGovern belts it to Wills. Oh! Free kick? No. Oh. Brian Sheehan put his whistle to his mouth and decided not to pay it. That was interesting. Norris has got it.
Oh, in the back.
Bassett, another in the back decision missed. That one paid to Fletcher. Well, the Crows have been badly done by here. And Fletcher gets the free kick at centre wing.
Well, this is rubbish.
Oh. You've got to be joking.
But Brian Sheehan was, well, I was going to say he was weak, then he was going to pay that and then decided not to.
Well, a very poor decision, but Adelaide is going to chop it off across half-back. This is Costa, who stood up grandly. He goes across the half-back line. Wills couldn't take the mark. Fletcher, he's going to set it up. Kicks it into the pocket. Ormond Allen, the ball spills to the back. The gather is by Costa again. Gets it to Connell. Connell across his left shoulder. Gale. Good stretching mark. Gale goes short. Mark taken by Chisholm. Chisholm on towards half forward. Ball at the base of the players there. They can't quite control it. Bassett was one. Waterhouse shrugs the tackle. Waterhouse slips over. The ball gathered now by Bickley. He can get his right foot to it. He kicks it back, but there's 4 Dockers to share it. Gale across the line. A player on his own. Absolutely on his own is Callahan. He'll go short, it slips off the side of his boot, but to the advantage of Brown. he marks within 40 metres and will go for goal number 5. Been a terrific battle. Fremantle by 4 points. Brown to stretch that maybe to 10. 19 goals kicked in the first 3 quarters, 9 so far in this last term. Brown going for his 5th. Lovely long kick, just floats away to the right and misses. 4 goals, 2 to Brown, 5 points the margin. Curls.
Yeah, it's actually some poor umpiring here is spoiling this game of footy.
4 times this year the Crows have been beaten by 10 points or less, and at the moment they're 5 points behind. They've lost 4 games by under 2 goals. That's a good mark by Perry. Kicks the ball to centre wing. Good stretch by Marsh. So the youngsters are coming to the fore here for the Crows. Marsh's little ball to Goodwin, who can run on now. Goodwin at centre wing. Runs his distance and kicks to Wren at half forward. Well done by Peterman, belting it away to the line. And a boundary throw in, just inside 50. O'Reilly likely to come back on. Fremantle, who have led for most of the match, hanging on here. What a struggle it's been. That boundary umpire was replaced at 3/4 time, by the way. Wills' little kick. Costa in hard. He's been pretty good, Costa. He and James have probably been the second division behind Jarman and Rashudo tonight, from Adelaide's point of view. There's been too few of them, unfortunately, for Malcolm Blight and the Crows. An absolute thriller here. We get a lot of those on Friday nights. Wills, good tackle by Bickley, and a boundary throw-in. You just wonder now if there'll be much scoring done for the rest of this match. I think both sides are exhausted. They've run their race so hard. Modra been called to come out of the square and leave Jarman one out. Boundary throw-in. Wren wants a free kick, doesn't get it. Smart, who has been important in the last quarter, wants a free kick. He's got it. It's going back to the Crows, to Nigel Smart, who worked overtime on Brian Sheehan there and won a free kick at 55 metres. Docker's getting players back now on Jarman.
I think it's outside his range though, Bruce.
He can really get onto one, Smart here. He's going to pop it up into the square. Wren gets set. No one goes. Michael drops it. James gets it out. Jarman got a little kick away. Didn't go very far. Chance here for the Crows. Connell's got it. They're in front. Unbelievable. Sensational match. Grandstand finish. The Crows by a point.
He's only a kid, Michaels, but he just had to take that mark in the goal square and just relieve the pressure. He's now been taken from the ground, but I think that was already a move that was in motion. O'Reilly's back onto the ground. He's gone straight to Modra. There's still plenty of time. 5.5 minutes to go.
Well, don't leave your chair, folks. There's 6 minutes left. Adelaide lead by a point, but you can bet your bottom dollar the Dockers, they're going to make a game of it. Fletcher's got it. Look at him running everywhere, just streaming down the ground. Callaghan out wide again, but Fletcher...
It's too slow.
Goes short and wide, and the mark is taken out there by Carroll. Well, he's not a lot closer than Fletcher, and he's probably kicking into whatever breeze is blowing from out from those goals to which he's kicking to. He's kicked 1 goal. He did start on Jarman. He goes short again. It's all right. Mark taken here by Callaghan. Now, Callaghan is a very good kicker of the football. He's kicked 2. Experienced campaigner now, Craig Callaghan, in AFL football. Left footer, favoured by that side of the ground. Gets hold of it, kicks it right in, but scores are behind. So scores level, 97 apiece. We've still got plenty of time left, 4.5 minutes.
Mighty roar here from not a big crowd, but they've made a bit of noise. And why wouldn't you on a night like tonight? This match has had the lot. Marsh deep in the back pocket. This is where mistakes are so vital, aren't they? You just can't afford to make one. Modra's huge fly. Wills, kick around the body, gets it back to 50. The players will play as if next goal will win it. Orman Allen gave it up too easily. Came back to the Dockers. Handball inside. Chisholm tried something far too fancy. Smart got onto it. Kicks in the Wren direction. He's got it, Big Wren. At centre half forward. Jarman's one out. He's got to go now. Kicks in the Jarman path. Is he being held onto it? Oh, well done, Jarman. Going to ground though was Vardy. Little handball by McGovern. Huge play here. Can Sampson do it? He does. Over the top of Wills. Wills will get a second crack. Back to Modra. He's played a good last quarter. Hooks it back. Adelaide have got a huge chance here. One-hander. James missed it. Sinclair. McGovern needs the boundary line. Kicks it as hard as he can. Edwards is out after it with Dodd. It's a race. Neither of them can afford to go to ground. They both go to ground. Goodwin's there. Sinclair, it's out of play. It's not out of play. Sinclair kept it in. Kicks the ball down the line. Perry. Still with Perry. The Dockers go forward. Back to Perry. Important touch for him. Kicks it back to Bickley. Sinclair early in the captain. Takes a beauty at centre wing. Bickley to thump it forward. Kick wide. James. Half volley's good. James can deliver. Kicks towards Jarman. Only kicks to Fletcher. Terrible mistake.
Smart play by Fletcher to get down in the hole though.
24 possessions, Fletcher. Spent a lot of the game on the bench. Goes short to Parker. Doesn't mind running. One bounce and then goes very long. Kicks to the forward 50. The crowd here are just absolutely on fire. Waterhouse. Here's a goal. Brown. He can't get on the end of it. It's going to roll through from behind, but the Dockers are in front. Exciting stuff here, Friday night footy from Subiaco. The Dockers at home to the Crows. The Dockers lead by a point, 14-14 to 15-7, straight down the ground. The big torpedo punt kick lands pretty well in no man's land. Marsh did well. Rashudo's kick to half forward. Wills the big punch. The ball spills. Oh, Andrew Wills! Go Andrew! He crashes his way through to half forward. It's brilliantly gathered by Chisholm. The little left foot kick, not too bad. Chance for Brown. Now Gale under pressure. Back onto the left foot goes Gale. The kick into the pocket. Composure not bad. Punched away over for a boundary throw in. But importantly for Fremantle, it's deep in their full forward area. The ruckman to go at it. 1 3/4 minutes left. Chisholm to Fletcher. Fletcher's kick will be marked. No, it's not. It's still there. No, it's not. It's gone. The kick smothered off the boot. A desperate play by both sides. Waterhouse, Edwards, James. Edwards again. Have a bit of a look. He does. He kicks it into the middle of the ground. Important touch here. It spills to the back. Waterhouse gets it back. Man's high left foot kick. Lands in no man's land. Oh, well done by Red. Gets it to Rashudo. Rashudo down the ground. It was young Marsh who got it to him. The kick to the pocket. Oh, magnificent mark by Darren Jarman.
He could kick this. He could go all the way here.
They trail by a point. He could kick it to Sampson. He ignores that. He's going to kick it himself. No, it's not.
Jarman.
A very sloppy kick by Darren Jarman out on the full. So with less than a minute left, the Dockers have possession, and it probably will be one of the most critical kicks of the game.
The clock stopped now. Time on.
It's a big kick, a torpedo from there. Probably could have got the distance with a drop punt. I think he had to go for the long one.
They hug the line here, the Dockers.
Marsh, big fly, belts it forward, still in play, out of bounds now. Dockers lead by a point.
They've got to send their players down there, the Dockers. They've got to crowd the Adelaide forward line as much as they possibly can.
Boundary throw in. Wren, smart over the back, belts to the front of the square, bouncing ball, can Adelaide force it behind, ball comes out, Jarman onto it, goes to ground, Dockers into it. Parker held up. Was he holding the footing? No. It'll be a bounce. Inside Adelaide's 50. Absolute desperate stakes here. Practically the whole 36 players in the Adelaide forward line. Can they force it behind or kick a goal? Smart in hard. A free kick one way or the other will be unbelievably important here. And the Dockers lead by a point, and time is really against the Crows now. Gee, the Jarman kick a moment ago. The irony of all of that after he kicked 8 goals tonight. Time on has been called here. Scott McLaren to bounce it. The Crows need this. So do the Dockers. They both want it so much. Smart. Stewart was smart. High ball. Is it a point? Is it a point? It's not. He's missed the lot. And the Dockers have won it. The Dockers have won it, I think. Can you believe it? They've won it. There is a field full of heroes out there tonight on both sides of the ground. There were a lot of mistakes under pressure, but nobody could have asked for any more than what we saw tonight. Adrian Fletcher with Adrian Barrage.
Bruce, what about this bloke? You're a hero, mate. What a game. What a win.
I don't think I'm a hero, but these blokes are heroes. You know, we only had 20 fit men, and we got across the line. Adelaide's a very good side.
How did you feel, mate? You came into this game, you were uncertain, weren't you?
Yeah, it was a little bit hard. I hadn't had any body contact, and you don't know till you play the opposition when they want to hurt you. So once I got a bit of confidence up and went into the forward line, I was not too bad.
Come on, you're excited, aren't you, Fletcher? It's a tumultuous week, and you've answered the critics. It's been fantastic.
It's fantastic.